Hey guys, welcome in. It's the Rob Kendall Show. Hope you're having a great Thursday. Thanks for spending it with us. Nobody does Indiana news, politics, and government like us. Coming up here in just a little bit. Look, I am enthralled by the Greenwood residents versus Buc-ee story. I think that story is interesting beyond belief. And coming up here in just a little bit, we're going to have one of the members of the opposition to Buc-ee's in Greenwood going to join us and talk about the negative ramifications of Buc-ee's going into Greenwood. And look, one of the things that's interesting to me is we are in an era where fewer and fewer people stand up for their community. Some people stand up for themselves, and even that's getting less and less. But we're in an era where fewer and fewer people stand up for their community. And oftentimes when these big projects are slated to go somewhere, people are like, oh, great, it's fill in the blank, without actually thinking about the ramifications of what they're doing. And one of the things I've been really impressed with about the opposition to the Buc-ee's, by the way, if you guys are like, what the hell is he talking about? So Buc-ee's, and we've talked about this multiple times on the show, but we have new listeners, new viewers all the time. Welcome. Thanks for being here with us. Buc-ee's is planning a massive new travel center complex in Greenwood. And it'll be a 74,000 square foot building. It'll have hundreds of gas stations, hundreds of charging stations, the whole Buc-ee's ensemble. And I guess maybe there are some people out there that are like, what the hell's a Buc-ee's? I assume most of you know. But since this would be the first one in the state of Indiana, maybe you don't. Buc-ee's is a travel center on steroids. It is playland, it is restaurants, it is obviously gas, it's merchandise. I mean, it's just food, all sorts of stuff. I mean, when you're talking a 74,000 square foot building, that's Walmart. I mean, you're talking about a travel center the size of a Walmart. And they have become tourist attractions across the country. Obviously, they're not in every state. And Buc-ee's has proposed its first travel center in Greenwood. That was revealed at their planning commission meeting the other night. And the residents up there, and what's impressed me about the residents' opposition to Buc-ee's, and we don't see enough of this anymore, the opposition is very reasonable and it's very well thought through. And you're going to hear that a little bit later today. It's very reasonable and it's very well thought through. And the things they oppose, they're not NIMBY people. They're not in my backyard people. They're people who are saying, we accept that growth is inevitable. This growth and the other growth it will cause will not be good for the long-term future of our community. And that's what we need more of. People who think not just in 24/7 opposition to growth, but opposition to growth that is going to have negative ramifications for the idea of what the community should be. More people who are willing to engage for the betterment of their neighbors, not just the opposition. You see this all the time. You know, people live next to an open field and a housing development gets proposed and they're like, nope, because they don't want stuff next to them. And, you know, that's okay, right? You can do that. But this isn't that. This is a group of people taking on a giant retailer who, on the surface, most people would be like, yeah, we're getting a Buc-ee's, all right. I mean, I got to admit, I don't live in Greenwood, so I was like, that's kind of interesting. And you see people stand up and say, we're not going to be wowed by a name because we're thinking about not only the effects of the community today where we live, and many of them have lived there for years, for generations, as you'll find out, but also the long-term ramifications of what that development will bring and how that affects everyone years from now. So that's coming up in a little bit. I think the fight is fascinating. I think these people have a puncher's chance to pull it off. I don't know. The politicians in Greenwood seem pretty enamored with the idea of Buc-ee's. And ultimately that happens, where it doesn't matter what your opposition says. It doesn't matter what data you put forward. If the politicians get it in their head, hey, look at us, we'll be whatever. And in this case, you're dealing with a retail mega giant who is the in vogue thing, right? People go places. I'm on vacation. I stopped at Buc-ee's. Here's me with the beaver. Here's me with my shirt. Look at me. I got the nuggets. Like, it's a new hip thing. And that's a very tough mountain to climb when you're in opposition to something that is the new hip thing. So we'll play that interview for you coming up here in a little bit. I think it's going to be a great opportunity. If you're one of the things we try to do here, like any other show, is we try to inspire people to get involved. My show, wherever it's been, has always been about engagement, education, involvement. It's been different from any other show. Because at the heart of what I do, and I've always done, it's about making a difference. Yes, I want to entertain you. If I didn't do that, you wouldn't stay here, no matter how educational I might be. PBS exists if you want that. My first job is to entertain you. But after that, it is to educate and motivate involvement. And we're at a time, and I was talking about somebody, a local elected official about this morning, about all the school referendums. And to a lot of people, they seem really overwhelming. But we're at a time where whether it's school referendums, large-scale developments, data centers, whatever it might be, where things just keep getting thrown at the populace left and right, especially here in central Indiana. And now more than ever, we need people in each of these communities to be willing to raise their hands and stand up and say, I will fight it. I will fight the battle, no matter how overwhelming it seems. We don't have enough of that. We don't have nearly enough of that. And so my hope is when you hear these sorts of interviews that you're going to say, I like what that guy has to say. I don't live in Greenwood, but I got X, Y, and Z going on where I live. I can be that guy. I can do what he's doing. And it will inspire you to form your own coalitions of people who will push back on bad government where you live. In addition to the interview with the residents that are fighting Buc-ee's, we're also going to hear from Bill Morrow today. Now, Bill Morrow right now is the publisher of the Indiana Citizen. But years ago, he was best known. He was a big-time power player in Indiana politics and government. He was best known as the chief of staff to Evan Bayh, both as Secretary of State and as governor. And then before that, he worked for Bies' father, Birch Bayh, when he was a U.S. Senator. And Bill is going to be with us. And look, I think Bill is a fascinating guy. Bill Morrow is a fascinating guy. And we're going to talk about how the Democrats have lost power in Indiana. What happened to the Democrats that, in basically a 20-year time span, we saw Indiana from being a really 50-50 shared power state to all Republican. We'll talk about what the Democrats used to do. He was there front and center for some of the dominant days of the Democrats in our state that they're not doing today. We'll talk about covering government now, as obviously he's out of the political life, spends his time. The Indiana Citizen is a nonprofit that engages in transparency, education as it relates to government. And really one of the things, and this is fascinating, the Indiana Citizen is taking on this year are school board races. There's been huge changes to the way school board races can operate. And that is candidates for the first time in a long time can list their party affiliation. And so the Indiana Citizen is kind of examining how that could end up changing school board races across the state. So we'll talk about all of that with Bill Moreau coming up in a little bit as well. First, though, for some reason, guys, I know the reason, but for some reason, we'll start with the premise of for some reason. The Republicans in Indiana are obsessed with making it harder to vote. And what I'm referencing here is that on Saturday at the Republican convention, they added to their party platform. By the way, the Indiana Capital Chronicle has an article on this. If you want to read more. They added a late addition to their party platform. Now, we've talked about this numerous times. The party platform is something that exists on paper. A lot of times it just completely gets ignored. The stuff in it gets ignored. When I first got involved in politics, I was like, oh, I got to get involved with this platform stuff because if it's in the platform, they got to do it. And then I realized they don't have to do anything. They just ignore what they want to ignore. But one of the things that was added to the platform and is becoming an ever-increasing talking point, and I believe will be a priority for the General Assembly next spring, especially if there's a Republican Secretary of State, is that the Republicans want to make it harder to vote by closing off the primaries. The party platform amendment said this: we believe in the freedom of Republicans to choose their own candidates. Great. You know what it doesn't say? We believe in the freedom of Republicans to pay for choosing their own candidates. See, what Republicans and Democrats, although this is a Republican issue, Democrats are not in on this, but to a certain extent, they believe it as well. They want to run the elections. They want the way they want them run. They want to do whatever they want to do. They want to include whoever they want to include, exclude whoever they want to exclude, but they want to make damn sure everyone pays for it, even people who don't participate. Like, can you think, like, how many acts of government are there out there where a huge portion of the populace gets, and I'm not talking about special things for people with disabilities or whatever. I get that it exists. But I'm saying in general, a huge portion of the populace, by design and publicly espoused, is excluded by the government and then forced to pay for it. Right? Like, you may not like the way your local city or town funds or operates a police department. And speaking of that, speaking of funding a police department, we're going to talk about how the city of Lebanon is going to try to raise taxes big time to pay for the police. The police are becoming the new human shield. It used to be the kids. Well, it still is the kids. Hello, Carmel. Boy, did you guys see that referendum Carmel approved? Woo! Even the rich people in Carmel are like, woo, seems a little pricey. Now the police are becoming the new human shield. A massive referendum is being proposed in Lebanon for the police. Now, I told Gentry this on social media, the mayor, Matt Gentry, because he sat here with me, 2 weeks ago, and we talked specifically about referendums, and he didn't say a damn word about any sort of referendum for the police in Lebanon. So either he was being a big chicken because he didn't want to smoke, or, and I'm going to give him credit for this if he did it, it was a great marketing ploy on his part to get to come back to the Rob Kendall show. If I talk about it now, he won't need to invite me back again. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. But it's one thing to criticize the how your money is being spent, i.e. the police department, or the roads, or the sidewalks, or whatever act of government, how the toilets flush, the water, the sewer, whatever. The point is, you pay for it, you get access to it. You call the authorities, the police show up. Now, maybe not as fast as you want. The officer may not be as nice as you want, whatever. The point is you get access to it. The roads, you may not like what roads they pave, or bridges they build, or sidewalks they repair. But you get access to them. In this case, the Republicans want to make it harder than ever to get access to the government you are forced to pay for. And we saw this weekend how hard it is for Republicans to run elections on their own, which is why they don't want to do it. 5 hours to vote 2 rounds. Republicans, the dirty secret is Republicans need other people's money and other people's staff to fund their elections because they're too incompetent to do it on their own. Every 2 years, we go through this with the Republican convention where it takes forever to count votes. It's inexcusable. The Republicans go on to say parties should have the exclusive right to select their own nominees without interference from voters affiliated with opposing parties. Agreed. You just did it over the weekend. And that cost me $0. You just did that. And it cost me $0. If the Republicans were making a proposal to say we want to close off and not involve anyone in our primaries that we don't specifically approve, and we're going to pay for it, great. We're going to run it. We're going to pay for it. It's all on us, but we get to say every person that walks through our door, fine, no problem. Private club, do what you want. We're not doing that. Quote, closed primaries preserve the integrity of the electoral process, strengthen party accountability, and ensure that Republican candidates are chosen by Republican voters who support the party's platform values. Well, it doesn't do anything to do with strengthening the electoral process. It just makes it easier for you to keep undesirables out, which is what it's all about. This is about Republicans got beat at their own game, in which they lost, at least for now, pending the recount, they lost the Spencer Deary Senate race. Now remember, for all the huffing and puffing about Turning Point USA and Trump and blah, 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 and they got quite a few Senate seats, but the 3 they wanted most were Holdman, Greg Good and Terre Haute, and Spencer Deary and Lafayette. They got Holdman, which didn't have anything to do with redistricting. They lost Greg Good overwhelmingly. And if the vote tally holds, they'll have lost Spencer Deary. You know, I think it was Meatloaf who said 2 out of 3 ain't bad. In this case, 2 out of 3 ain't good, losing 2 out of 3. And they're mad because they believe that people legally voted in their own primary. They're mad because people legally participated in the primary process that they set up. And Republicans do this all the time, where when people follow the law, when people abide by the rules that they've set up, they just change the rules. Well, we can't have people legally voting in primaries. We'll just change the rules to make it harder to do that. Instead of saying, wow, maybe if our candidate had a little more crossover appeal, like, 3 votes more crossover appeal, we might have won. Their response is, no, screw you. We're mad that you figured out how to participate in our system, and we can't ever have opposition. So this is their response. And they will do this, especially if there's a Republican Secretary of State. And they will make it harder or impossible, in some cases, for a whole bunch of people to participate. Our founding fathers warned us about the dangers of political parties. And you're seeing why. This isn't about better government. I mean, Spencer Deary is extremely conservative. He's extremely Republican. This is not about Spencer Deary being some radical leftist who has snuck through the cracks. It's about them being mad, them being the Republicans, being mad that they can't have absolute control over everyone and everything. There is no longer free thought allowed in the Republican Party. And so, people, when you vote this fall, we've talked about all the things that are going to go into picking a Secretary of State. One of the things that you'll need to have on your mind is, do you want this to happen? Do you want the freedom of participation? Do you want the freedom of choice? Do you want the freedom of assembly? Do you want the freedom to say, I pay for these primaries. I'll pick whoever I damn well please when I show up to vote. I mean, again, it was good enough for Mike Braun, who did it for years. Remember, Braun voted in all those Democrat primaries and told me, well, the reason I did that was because, thanks to gerrymandering, whatever, there just were no, Republicans to vote for on a local level. I wanted to pick my sheriff. I wanted to pick my county council. That's the excuse the sitting governor of Indiana gave. And the Republicans now today are saying it's not good enough. Vote accordingly. Hey guys, do you have a dog but don't have a fenced-in yard? Your HOA won't allow a fence? Worried about having to watch your furry friend anytime you go outside? Avoid the blazing hot summers and freezing cold winters with All-American Dog Fence. All-American Dog Fence is the cost-effective, easy-to-use, in-ground fence system to keep your dog secure and give you peace of mind anytime they're outside. All-American Dog Fence is locally owned. Owners Kelly and Jeff have 3 dogs themselves. They believed in All-American Dog Fence so much, after using it, they bought the company. That is the ultimate testimonial. All-American Dog Fence backs their Pet Stop products, designed and manufactured in the United States with a lifetime warranty. Call or text All-American Dog Fence at 317-862-6606. 317-862-6606, or visit their website at allamericandogfence.com. And by the way, when you mention the Rob Kendall Show, you're going to get an incredible $200 off your All-American Dog Fence products, just by mentioning the Rob Kendall Show. All right, couple of housekeeping items, and then we're going to get to our interview with the people of Greenwood versus Buc-ee's. A couple of things you can do to help us grow the program. We call it like, share, and subscribe. Number 1, if you haven't done so yet, your daily reminder, hit that thumbs up button. Really helps us grow this program. Number 2, wherever you're at, social media, Facebook, Twitter, whatever, share the feed out. And wherever you're listening, by the way, welcome to all our on-demand listeners. Apple, Spotify, iHeart, wherever it is. Share the feed out. And number 3, subscribe to whatever platform you're listening to us on. Like, share, and subscribe. Organically helps us grow this program. We're all in it together. Also, live show. We're 2 days away from the live show. We would love to have you with us. Saturday night, Mad Hatter Comedy Club, Event Center in Greenwood. We call it a live show. It's really my opportunity, Jason's opportunity, to say thank you in person to you, the fabulous, amazing listeners and viewers of this program. We couldn't ask for a better group of people. 17 weeks in, by the time Saturday rolls around, 84 episodes of The Rob Kendall Show, and it's all because of you guys. So it's our opportunity to give back to you, to meet you, to say thanks to you, and have a whole bunch of fun in the process. If you haven't done so yet, join us. We'd love to have you there. Get your tickets now. Head over to robkendallshow.com, robkendallshow.com. Live link to the link to the tickets is right there at the top of the page. Come hang out with us. Meet some great people that enjoy the show with you every single day and have a blast. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, people of Greenwood versus Buc-ee's. It's on. We get to the bottom of it. Next, you're watching Rob Kendall Show.
Right now, everything's expensive. That includes things you need around the house. If your water heater, water softener, or well pump goes out, or even if your toilet stops working, you could be looking at a major expense. Don't let your next call to a plumber break the bank. Call John at Black Sheep Plumbing. John is a Hoosier lifer who takes pride in and stands behind his work. That's why all basic services and repairs with Black Sheep Plumbing come with a 2-year parts and labor guarantee, with water heaters having a 6-year parts and tank guarantee. Call or text Black Sheep Plumbing for all your needs today and speak directly with John, the owner. 765-315-7558. That's Black Sheep Plumbing at 765-315-7558.
Did you know Honeysuckle Hill in Brazil offers more than just a fabulous made-from-scratch meal at the bistro? It also has an adjoining cottage, great for a perfect, relaxing weekend away with a scenic waterfront view. The cottage offers 3 bedrooms, 2 baths with spa-like tile showers, full kitchen, living room with fireplace, laundry facilities, and a full deck overlooking the lake. And Andy, one of the owners, delivers breakfast in a picnic basket at 8:30 each morning. Plan the perfect weekend away at the scenic Honeysuckle Hill property on the water in beautiful Brazil. Book today by visiting their website at honeysucklehillb.com.
Are you seeing cracks in mortar, moisture working through walls, facade or structural failure beginning to surface? Bramwell Mackay sets the standard for exterior and structural building solutions. Our 40-year master masons and industry experts address moisture intrusion, failing foundations, masonry deterioration, and more. From preserving historic landmarks to addressing modern building envelope issues, Bramwell Mackay delivers full-spectrum service with white-glove professionalism. In Indianapolis, call 812-33-BRICK. 812-33-BRICK.
Welcome back. It's the Rob Kendall Show. As we told you a couple days ago, there's big drama over Buc-ee's trying to come to Greenwood, 74,000 square foot location. Some locals not happy about it. I told you guys this on the air the other day. I think they got some interesting points. One of those guys who's leading the charge, Dave Eyer, joins us now. Dave, hello.
Nice to meet you, my friend.
So you're a Greenwood lifer, right?
I'm a Greenwood lifer. Yes, sir.
I appreciate that. I'm a Brownsburg lifer. I get what you're doing. So the objections, if you could, like 2 or 3 of the biggest sticking points for you as a Greenwood lifer about this massive proposal to bring Buc-ee's to Greenwood, what would it be?
My first concern would be the amount of traffic. In my studies, you're looking in Google and you're just trying to get some quick information. From what is being reported out there, there's going to be roughly 4 million visitors a year that are going to be coming to this Buc-ee's. You break that down, it's around 333,000 visitors a month. Now let's break it down to a daily number of 11,000 visitors getting off the I-65 Worsville Road exit.
That's wild.
It's insane.
That's that's more than if Victory Field were full. Right? That's like the amount of people we're talking about to put this in perspective.
Yes, it's just, so here, when you look at the amount of people that are going to be coming, and then already in that same quadrant, you have a massive FedEx distribution center.
Right.
And to give you an idea of the size of this, I can't tell you the square footage, but I know that there's over 100 dock doors. So it's a massive distribution center. Then immediately to the east of it, you also have the Amazon fulfillment center. So the issue here is, at this same interchange, you are going to be having hundreds of semis that are already there now today with the Amazon delivery vehicles that are going to be using this exact same exit for getting on and getting off. Now let's throw in 11,000 visitors into that same area.
Stu, yeah.
Right.
Okay, so, and you made the point in the article on RTV6, you're a real estate broker by trade, right?
That is correct.
So you're not anti-growth.
No.
You're not anti-build. That's good for you.
I am pro-growth.
But you're just saying, and this is what gave me a lot of validity about what you were talking about. You said, this is not the right development for this location.
In my opinion, and a lot of other people that are in the Greenwood community and the surrounding areas, it just doesn't make sense. Number one, the amount of traffic. You talked about a few other items here, and that is literally a half a mile down the street, you have 2 elementary schools, and you also have a rather large middle school. Then to the east of this particular Buc-ee's proposed location, you have an additional 3rd elementary school. Now, within a half a mile east of this proposed Buc-ee's location, Clark Pleasant Township, which is Whiteland Schools,
that's right,
has bought an additional acreage to build a 4th elementary school because all of the expansion is going east. It's the only way it can go. Greenwood has kind of built itself out as far as south and north and to the west. So everything is going to go east. So when you realize there's going to be more residential, by the way, there's a brand new subdivision called Grand Vista that Lennar put in. Hundreds of homes in there.
They build them fast out there.
They do build them fast, and there's more that's going to come. So now you look at, well, has Greenwood done enough research as to the amount of visitors that are going to be coming, the infrastructure that it's going to take. And even with that, you have to look at, is Clark Pleasant going to have to change their bus routes? What are they going to have to do there to navigate this entire area?
Let me ask you this, because this is the issue that was, we have a mutual friend who had been kind of alerting me to this. And I got to admit, I get a million correspondence a day. I was trying to keep up with it. And then all of a sudden, boom, it's at the Planning Commission. I'm shocked that on something of this magnitude, the community leaders, your elected people, didn't say, hey, before we're putting this in front of the Advisory Planning Commission, we're going to get some community buy-in before we do something of this magnitude. But there really doesn't seem to have been any of that.
Well, that's a great point you bring up, because this is what really has me puzzled. This particular location in years past has been, let's say they were wanting to build more warehouses.
Yeah.
And through the feedback of the community, the council had decided that's not the best thing to put there.
Yeah.
So here some time has gone by. But in the meantime, the city of Greenwood reached out to the residents, had several meetings at the Greenwood Library where, here, tell us what you want to put in this area. Well, they had artist renderings of like Zionsville-ish vibes, the Carmel-ish vibes. I mean, something that the entire community could enjoy. And we gave, different thoughts and ideas as far as trails, walkways. We know there's going to be housing. We certainly know there's going to be some commercial. Nothing to the magnitude of Buc-ee's.
Right.
And this was all of the community feedback that we had given. So my question is, it's really twofold here, is what happened to all of that information? But even before asking for community involvement, 3 years ago, apparently there was like a non-disclosure agreement that was agreed to where the city of Greenwood already knew about this, or we're trying to court Buc-ee's to this area.
Wait. Dave Eyer is our guest. He's one of the folks organizing opposition to Buc-ee's out in Greenwood. You're telling me that it's believed that this has been in the works for 3 years?
That is correct. And
they
again,
never said anything to anybody?
Nope. Not that I'm aware of. We're all kind of hearing about this here at the last minute.
And they just showed up at your planning commission?
Yes.
That doesn't seem very transparent. I don't know.
Well, no, it's not.
It's not a Dairy Queen they're looking at building here.
Correct. Well, myself and several other neighbors tried to get a hold of the city of Greenwood, some of the officials there, some of the council members, and they too were either tight-lipped or didn't know. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt.
Right.
So if they're just now hearing about this as well as us, then what kind of studies has the city of Greenwood done to understand the true impact of what's going to happen?
Because I used to do this as an elected official, and now I do this as just an interested spectator. I will occasionally go to our town meetings, and I will see things take place, and then people will ask questions about the very issues that you raised, the traffic counts, we got this, we got that. And they just sort of get this blank stare back from either the council or whatever. And you say, how could this not have been thought through before? How does this just get raised from citizens? What does your town staff do? And this sort of has it has the feel they got enamored by the name, that they said, oh my gosh, look at all the attention this will get us.
Right.
And we'll jam this square peg into a round hole because we want the name of it being the first ones in Greenwood.
I have to agree with you 100%.
I got it. That's why we're the best, Dave. I mean, I'm not trying to be mean. I don't live in Greenwood. It's not going to affect me one way or another. Jason lives in Greenwood. But to me, it just seems very, look at this big thing we can do. We're the first. Everybody loves Buc-ee's. Yeah, okay, it probably doesn't work for us, but we'll make it work because of the attention that comes with it.
Yes. I mean, here, I will say this. I love Mark Myers. I think he has been a great mayor for Greenwood. He has a lot of feathers that he can put in his cap with the new aquatic center, all of the renovations to the community center, the new $10 million sports park that literally is going to be catty-cornered, that has about 70,000 visitors a year from what is being reported by the city of Greenwood that use that park area. So let's throw in those additional visitors besides the 11,000 a day visitors from Buc-ee's.
Yeah.
So, again, love Mark, vote for him again. A great guy. I just think in this particular instance, if we just use some what I call common sense and just go, let's just use some common sense governing.
Okay, so there's two questions I have about the opposition, and this fascinates me. Maybe you don't know yet.
Okay.
How big is the opposition to Buc-ee's? Is it? I mean, you sound like a great guy, Dave. You don't seem like a rebel rouser. Are there a bunch of Daves out there, or is it like, hey, you're just a couple guys making noise?
Well, I will tell you, the last 2 times when this particular land came up for rezoning for the industrial warehousing, that at those meetings it was packed wall to wall. Outside in the lobby, that the fire marshal actually had to have some of us be removed from the building.
Oh, wow.
In order to meet code. I get it. And here, the nice part was the council members listened and heard to our valid complaints with regards to putting in these more industrial, warehouses, so to speak. Well, I know that isn't what they're doing now, although I believe the first 40 acres of the rough 80 acres that's in question here.
Oh, it's going to be 80 acres.
80 acres.
Oh,
you're going to have 40 acres that is going to be zoned commercial. I get that. But then the other 40 acres, I think they're trying to push for some industrial zoning. What for? I'm not understanding.
Oh, so there's more coming. That's the big thing. And the eye. It's the dreaded eye industrial. More dystopian looking buildings. Okay. Have you guys heard from Buc-ee's yet? Because a lot of times these corporations, they'll try to meet with the community leaders ahead of time. They'll be like, all right, we know there's going to be pushback. I've said this about the data centers. This is where the data center people are messing up. You got to meet with the community before you propose it to the government. Have the Buc-ee's people reached out? Have they said, hey, can we meet with you guys? Let's figure out a way to work together. Some highly paid Buc-ee's attorney pretending he cares. Like, has any of that happened?
No, not that I'm aware of at all. And I would tell you that there is enough of us that you would think if they would have, that one of those neighbors would have gotten back to us to let us know, hey, here's what's going on.
Right.
A lot of times they'll say, hey, let's have kind of like a information meeting, let's, kind of a meet and greet, and let us kind of explain away some of your concerns.
Right.
And that has not happened.
Dave Eyer is our guest. He's one of a large group of citizens opposing the proposed Buc-ee's in Greenwood. Now, what I can't figure out is what the actual tax benefit to Greenwood is, other than the building itself, because a lot of the sales tax won't go to Greenwood.
Right.
A lot of the income tax, unless the people live in Greenwood, won't benefit Greenwood. The property tax, I don't know, is Buc-ee's even eligible for abatement? I don't know if it fits. The zoning has me a little worried that maybe they are.
Well, if I can make a comment on that, and you would go, well, again, all from Google, when you look at each Buc-ee's location that, annual revenues of 50 to 100 million, you would go, well, there would be no need for the city of Greenwood to give any kind of additional incentives or abatements when that's the type of income it's going to be generating on an annual basis.
Yeah, but doesn't mean they ain't going to ask if they're eligible.
Right.
There's rules around that. I just don't see, for the trouble it's going to cause, what the actual tangible benefit to Greenwood is, like the risk reward, right? Like I that is one thing. If I were a decision maker, I would struggle with that.
I agree. That's a question I would almost like to ask them, to say, you tell me why you think this makes sense, and I'm going to give you what I call common sense answers back,
right,
to say it just doesn't add up.
Yeah, we've seen that with the data centers too. I think people get enamored with stuff and they stop like logical thought. All right, so your council's been responsive in the past.
Yes.
Are they going to get starstruck by Buc-ee's? Because, I mean, the beaver's pretty strong, right? Can they stand up to the beaver?
Right.
Do you think these guys are going to just fall over? Or do you think this organized opposition can prevail again?
Well, I think if we can present, I'll say, our case, the concerns, the safety concerns, the traffic congestion, and if they truly listen to what we're saying, and if they truly understand the impact of 11,000 visitors a day, because there's no baseline for them to compare it to, because there's nothing down there that has it. So you kind of have to be careful what you wish for, because once it's there, there's no turning back.
Right.
Which comes to my next point of, there's like an additional 80, 100-acre parcel of land immediately to the east of where the Buc-ee's is. So my question would be, well, what do you think is going to want to go there?
Right.
That's going to be what I call harmonious to the area.
Right. And that's the other thing I struggle with is, so many of these people that are coming are not Greenwood people. So Buc-ee's gets sort of treated as like an amenity wherever it goes, but the people that are coming are most of them are not Greenwood people, so it doesn't really act as an amenity. So how does it actually help you?
Right.
That just having had experience with this, these are things that I would be asking as a government official. Do you guys some sort of organized group? I'm sure people are going to see this and be like, I want to get involved. Like, I want to help. I want to learn more. Like, do you guys have a group, or how could people learn more, get more, do more?
This has basically been a grassroots effort.
Yeah.
I do have a mass email system set up that is what I call the I-65 neighbors that I send out. And we've got about 150 emails where we just simply inform. Everybody can make their own decisions. And just to let them know what's going on in that area, because this little quadrant of Greenwood is like the most southeast corner within the Greenwood city limits. It's kind of the golden jewel. It's the last section really left to develop. It needs to be developed properly.
Yeah, and I struggle with this in Warehouseburg where I live. It seems like they give away a lot of premium real estate to not a lot of premium projects.
Right.
And I think that's kind of what you're saying here is this needs to be the right thing that's going to help the whole community.
The whole community.
Dave, this is fascinating, man. I wish you all the best. Anything we can do to help out, let us know. We can't ruin Jason's commute to work. It'd be all screwed up, and we can't have that happening. Dave Eyer, thank you.
Rob, it was a pleasure.
Great for you to be here. Welcome back anytime. We'll take a break. We'll be back. You're watching Rob Kendall Show.
Hi, I'm Lauren Wilson, Realtor with App Properties. I would love to get to know you. I know that buying and selling a home is a really big deal. You need a plan in place so you can succeed. And that's where I come in. If you are buying, let me help you find that perfect home. And if you are selling, let me help you find that perfect buyer. Look, we're all Rob Kendall Show fans here. That's why I'd love to get to know you. I'm Lauren Wilson, Realtor with App Properties, an Army veteran and a Hoosier through and through. Call me at 317-590-2290, 317-590-2290.
With a lakefront view in beautiful Brazil, the Honeysuckle Hill Bistro and Cottage is a little out of the way, but totally worth the trip. Down home, made from scratch food, just like the good old days at Grandma's. When you visit the Honeysuckle Hill Bistro and Cottage, you'll leave more at peace than when you came in. Open 5 to 8 for dinner on Friday and Saturday, and Sundays 11 to 1:30 for the buffet. You must experience the Honeysuckle Hill Bistro and Cottage. Call 812-443-3003. 812-443-3003.
Are you seeing cracks in mortar, moisture working through walls, facade or structural failure beginning to surface? Bramwell Mackay sets the standard for exterior and structural building solutions. Our 40-year master masons and industry experts address moisture intrusion, failing foundations, masonry deterioration, and more. From preserving historic landmarks to addressing modern building envelope issues, Bramwell Mackay delivers full-spectrum service with white-glove professionalism. In Indianapolis, call 812-33-BRICK. 812-33-BRICK.
Hey guys, welcome back. It is the Rob Kendall Show. Thanks for spending your Thursday with us. Don't forget, with our interviews, if you missed any part of them, like that interview we just did with Dave Eyer about the residents lining up against Buc-ee's, we post them all on the YouTube channel. Got a little video section there, interviews section. You can go back, you watch those interviews anytime you want, and tell your friends and share it out. So if you're a Greenwood person, if you're joining in today, welcome, glad you're here. We'll post those up after our program is done airing live, and then you can go back and watch it anytime you want. We got to talk about what's going on in Lebanon in a second. But before we do that, one of the biggest challenges homeowners face is coordinating the sale of their current home with the purchase of their next one. Gary Tedrow with Verity Mortgage helps Central Indiana families explore bridge loan and home equity solutions that may provide flexibility during that transition. Whether you're moving up, downsizing, or need access to your home's equity, Gary takes the time to understand your goals and walk you through your options. Visit loansbygary.homes. Loansbygary.homes to learn more. Gary Tedrow, Verity Mortgage, NMLS number 179207, equal housing lender. Couple of reminders. If you're new, welcome. Glad you're here today. Hit that little thumbs up button. Really helps us grow this program. And that's what we are all about. Growth to be able to get the words to the masses about what's going on with Indiana news, politics, and government that we are doing every single day. Don't forget as well, our live show coming up June the 27th, Mad Hatter Comedy Club. That's this Saturday in Greenwood. It's a tribute to you, the listeners, our chance to say thank you. Come hang out with us, spend the evening with us, have a great time with some of the other fabulous, fabulous listeners. I mean, look, the great thing about this show, you're probably going to know everybody in the room. Even if you just know their screen name, you're going to know them. We're going to have a blast together. Come be a part of it with us. Get your tickets now, robkendallshow.com. Just head over to robkendallshow.com. We got the ticket link up at the top of the page, and then bam, you are in coming with us. One of the things I also get asked about is all of our sponsors. And yeah, you just heard like Gary Tedrow with Verity Mortgage. We have some amazing sponsors. And you know why they're with us? Well, they like us. They like what we do. They agree with what we do. They support our mission for better, more accountable Indiana politics and government. But we also get them results. I mean, they're not running soup kitchens. They're running businesses. And if you would like to put us to work for you, we'd love to learn about your business, about what you do, about how to get more customers through your door. Send me an email, sales@robkendallshow.com, sales@robkendallshow.com, and I'll get back with you. We'll learn about what you do, figure out if our program could put more customers through your door, sales@robkendallshow.com. Okay, let's talk about Lebanon for a second. And one of the things that will become abundantly clear to many, many people, if it wasn't already this fall, is that our tax system in this state is completely broken. And it is broken in a variety of ways. First and foremost, that our system allows the government to have a forever lien on your home without any sense of accountability. And what I mean by that is every year we are required to pay property taxes in the state of Indiana. Twice a year if you own your home. If you own it free and clear, you pay it yourself. Every month when you pay your mortgage. And I just got my announcement from my escrow company. Lucky me, my mortgage payment's going to go up next year. Thanks in part to the insurance, the property taxes, a variety of things. And a good chance your escrow has gone up quite a bit over the past few years as well. And if you don't pay it, then the government can take your property from you. If you don't pay it, the government can take your property from you. But I think what's most frustrating about that is that it's a system with that potential dramatic ramification hanging over everyone's heads without any real sense of accountability. And I'm talking about the way taxes are levied, the assessment process. And we've gone into this many times over the years about how the average person, or in many cases even the informed person, has no idea how or why their home is assessed what it is. I mean, I laid out a few weeks ago, my neighbor who has a house built in an identical year, just a very slightly bigger lot and a slightly bigger house, had a property tax bill that was $18,000 less than mine. And I called over to the assessor's office and I said, I would like someone to explain to me, since, you guys do the assessing, why my neighbor's home, built the same year, slightly bigger lot, slightly bigger house, is assessed. And last year we were basically identical. Why did theirs go down and mine went up? And they said, we can't tell you. And I said, well, can you transfer me to someone who can? Someone did this assessment. You are the assessor's office. I'd like to know what the difference is. If there's a great explanation, fine, no problem. I'll go on my merry way. I don't have to like the system. Just want to know how the system's being administered. That's it. Just want to know how the system's being administered. And she said, no, there's no one I can transfer you to. And I said, so someone assessed my house someone came up with a number different from my neighbor, even though we've been the same, you can't tell me. You can't tell me who can tell me. And my only recourse is to file an appeal with the assessment board, which will take a year to go through. And then all they're going to do is go back to you guys and go, when I appeal it, because all I'm going to say is, hey, and I put this in my appeal. I called. They said appeal it. They couldn't tell me. They said you could tell me. Why is my neighbor's house assessed differently? Could have been a 5-minute conversation. The reality is they don't know because they don't do the assessments. They're farming it out. So you have a system in which you could lose your home at any time for failure to pay, but you don't even know how the government got to the amount you're supposed to pay. Can you imagine that in any real business that had to stay in business? And like I told you guys when it happened, I said, the thing that upset me the most was the lack of any sort of intuition, motivation, whatever you want to call it, for the lady on the other end of the phone who was very polite, but to say, hey, yeah, looks a little weird, which she acknowledged it looked a little weird, which is why she told me to appeal it. I'll look into that. Give me a day. I know you got to appeal it by such if I can't get you an answer, but give me a day. I'll ask so-and-so. I'll look into that. There's nothing. None of that exists. Why? Because the government can just take the stuff from you. And they know you don't have an option but to pay because they'll just take your home from you. That's our government. That's our property tax system. It's a system that can leverage stealing where you live from you if you don't pay the amount that no one can explain to you how they came up with the amount you're supposed to pay. And one of the things that people are figuring out very quickly, if they haven't figured out how crappy of a system that is that government, now local governments, can take as much from you, whatever they want, however much they want, via the referendum process. And we told you guys last year, if you recall, when Senate Bill 1, which was the property tax, quote-unquote, reform bill, was passed, and I told the governor this, I said, you're not going to solve any problems with this. All you're going to do is create a bunch of new ones because you're extracting money from local governments without mandating they don't replace it. I mean, of course, Senate Bill 1 was bad because it did very little for homeowners. It was a giveaway to big business. That's who ended up winning in Senate Bill 1, big business. You get next to nothing. But it also didn't put any enforcement mechanism to mandate that local governments do more with less. Other than moving how referendums are administered, it did nothing to stop the school districts or any other local agency of government. Any local government, whether they're your library, your school, your city, your town, your fire territory, your county, every single one of them, if they don't like the revenue that is coming into their coffers, they can put a referendum on the ballot to raise your taxes and force you to fight for your right, not to party, that's the Beastie Boys, but to have constitutionally protected tax caps. So we don't really have tax caps. We should stop saying we do. We have an idea of a tax cap, which regularly gets ignored. And what school districts are doing this fall, as you are all seeing, I just saw Carmel has a massive, it'll be a third one for Carmel that they're proposing. You've seen it happening all over the state. I saw Franklin's throwing one out there. Is there you people can go F yourselves. We're not taking any less reduction in revenue. And most of these referendums will pass. I mean, the sad truth is most of these referendums will pass. You'll end up paying more in your property taxes than you did before Senate Bill 1. And then you think about how bad our Republican government in this state actually is. Where one guy has a bill that would get rid of property taxes. And you're like, oh, great. Somebody's trying to do something. J.D. Prescott. But then, of course, as we read to you yesterday in the Indiana Capital Chronicle article, Prescott's bill, which would add a new, it would eliminate property taxes, but it would add a new 7% sales tax on services, which currently doesn't exist. Somebody was asking me a bunch of questions about it yesterday, and I finally just thought of it. I said, I don't know, ma'am. Call Prescott. He's changed his mind on this bill as often as he's changed his underwear over the past year. Because I have no idea what this current bill actually looks like because it's changed many times. And last year I told him, when I sat in his office and told him, I said I will never support a bill that raises people's tax burden, which is what this bill would do. Capitol Chronicle laid out currently about 11.6 billion is consumed in property taxes annually across our state. Think about that. What a racket that is. $11.6 billion is consumed in property taxes with the government using threat to force. We will take your home or your business or your apartment or whatever. That's bad enough. The Prescott bill, which, would get rid of property taxes, but it would add a new tax on services, would generate between 13 and 15 billion in new taxes. So government is the only place where this logic works. Hey, man, everybody's really upset about the taxes. Yeah, we should do something about it. All right, I'll do something about it. What are you doing? Well, I'm getting rid of that tax. Great. What else are you doing? Well, I'm going to put a new tax in. Oh, how's that new tax work? Well, it's going to take more money than the original tax. Well, I thought the reason we were getting rid of the tax was everybody was upset about the taxes. And they'll put this bill forward with a straight face. He's on a listening tour right now. Prescott is. And I wish I weren't so woefully busy because I'd love to go to one and tell him just what a frickin' idiot he is. Right to his face in front of everyone. Although, here's the thing. I will say this about Prescott. And he stabbed us in the back on the property tax bill. Remember, he went to our rally. He was with us. The fight. And then he voted for that Senate Bill 1, which is a disaster. It's a disaster. He stabbed us in the back. I will say about Prescott, though, he is willing to come in and take the smoke. A lot of these guys won't. I might reach out to him, see if he wants to have a fun little throwdown like we had with Dan Elliott yesterday. He's usually willing to do that. If he hadn't lost his spine, I'm sure he still would today. I'll get a hold of him later and ask him. But this is our system. There's an incredibly broke system that nobody knows how it works. Everybody agrees it doesn't work. Nobody can explain to you how it works. And finally, somebody's like, yeah, we should really fix that broken system. Great. What's your new system? Well, to take more money from you. What the hell are we doing, people? This is our Republican government? We're always told how great the Republicans are? The party of the people? The America first? That doesn't sound very America first for me. To me, it sounds very government first to me. And that brings me to a story I saw from WTHR yesterday about our old friend, the mayor of Lebanon, Matt Gentry, and his plan to put a referendum on the ballot this fall. Now, I'm a little upset with Gentry because Gentry sat right here a couple weeks ago, or last week. Was it last week? All these days run together. I think it was last week. He sat right here. We talked about referendums. We specifically talked about a school referendum in Lebanon and how he voted in those and what he did in those. And at no point was he like, hey, breaking news, we're having another one in Lebanon for the police department. So either, and I'm not going to assume either way, either he just lost his nerve. It's like, I don't want to deal with this guy's smoke. Or it was a genius move where he's like, if I don't mention it now, he'll invite me back on later because he's going to get real pissed when he finds out about this. Because he definitely knew when he was sitting there with me, he was planning on doing that referendum. Now, this is what I've told you guys for years about the schools, and now the cities and towns are getting in on it, and it's the same thing, just different people. It's the ability to use someone, something, some group as a human shield. For years, we've told you how the schools have used kids as human shields. Oh, we want to raise taxes by $50 million, $100 million. Oh, well, why would I do that to myself? Because if you don't, little Junior's going to suffer. If you don't, little Johnny could be in danger. I told you guys, I will never forget sitting in the theater in 2015 for a community meeting where the superintendent was like, if we don't raise taxes by $100 million in Brownsburg, then the kids could be in danger of falling victim to an active shooter in the hallways. And I was like, oh, I didn't like you before. Now you're going down big time. That comment cost the school system $100 million. I hope it was worth it. And the former superintendent and I, we get along fine now. All water under the bridge. By the way, beating that referendum was great for my career. So, it all worked out in the end, right? You didn't get your money. I became a referendum killer. I went on to years of fame and fortune. Now I'm here in a 240 square foot studio with Jason. So we're all friends in the end. It worked out in the end. You did me a favor by letting me kill that referendum. You didn't mean to do it, though. I can't give you too much credit because you would have taken that money if you'd have got it, if you'd have won. But the point is, the schools for years have used your kids as a human shield to get you to do things you wouldn't normally do. Which is, we all know how wasteful every layer of government is. I'm not just picking on the schools, every layer of government. Where I live, they have 2 football fields. 2. 2. One's not enough. And they're not like the fields we used to play on when we were kids. They're like the state of the art with the big bleachers and the press box and the turf. It's really nice stuff. You're welcome. And then we have 4 field houses where I live. 4. Not 1, not 2, not 3, 4. 4 field houses. Everything is very nice. Now, to the credit of the people of Brownsburg, as we've said, they learned their lesson, which is, I will work 24/7 when spite is involved. And they're one of the few that's not going to do a school referendum this year. Good for them. Good on them. But now it's more than just the schools that are starting to use people as human shields. It's the cities and the towns. And in the case of, we just saw it with Indianapolis. We're seeing it with Indianapolis, where they're trying to raise the taxes by hundreds of dollars for, quote unquote, the roads, when they could do everything they want to do by cutting less than 3% of their budget. But no. The only way to do it is to raise your taxes. Now, it's not a referendum. It's a fee registration for your vehicle. It's a tax. Who cares what type of tax? It's a tax increase. It's a mandatory tax increase. You live in Mary County, live in Indianapolis, you got to drive a car, you have to pay the tax. Unless you just don't drive cars. It's the same level of disgusting. It's just a different way of doing it. By the way, Jesse Brown's going to be with us Monday. From the Indianapolis City County Council, avowed Democrat socialist. I'm going to ask him. The thing I'm most interested in is why he hates Bayh so much. He does not like Bayh, and he is like, I'm never voting for this clown. And I want to know why you would want to not win the first time you ever have a chance to win, just because you don't 100% agree with the guy. That fascinates me. But we're also going to talk about this road funding issue and why he's a supporter of raising the taxes. But what the city of Lebanon is proposing to do, and Gingery's a listener to our show, so I'm sure I'll hear about it from him later, is they're putting a referendum on the ballot this fall to raise taxes by as much as $52 million for a new police station. Now, I don't know if you guys have checked your tax bill recently. Kinda high. Kinda gone up. And maybe I'm a radical for thinking this, but in the property taxes that I pay, I expect the police to be included in that. I think that should be understood, right? Here's the minimum of what I get for my exorbitant tax bill. Police, fire, roads, sidewalks, bridges, the water and the sewer work properly. I'm a minimalist, guys. I don't got no hobbies. This is what I do. I don't expect a lot. Maybe a few walking trails, and we could throw those in. I feel like that's kind of reasonable. But apparently in Lebanon, it's not, because apparently in order to have a place for the police to go, they've got to raise your taxes by up to $52 million. An average person with a home valued at $250,000 would pay an additional $216 a year to fund the station over 20 years. What is that? Public school math. That's well over $4,000. It's close to $5,000 that you'd pay over the life of that referendum for the most basic of service the city is supposed to provide for the taxes that you pay. For the most basic of services that the city is supposed to provide for the taxes you pay, the police. Now, Gentry's trying to claim, and this is why I'm mad at Gentry, and I'll hear about it from him later, I'm sure. He sat right in that chair with me not that long ago. He knew they were going to do this referendum. He could have said anything about it. We could have the conversation then. Now I'm forced to do it on my own. He claims once Meta and Lilly come on board, people are going to pay a lot less. I'll believe that when I see it. He claims it'll go all the way down to $30 a year. I'll believe it when I see it. Now they're trying to say, oh, the police station is old. It's outdated. There's problems with the plumbing. I don't care. Make it work. I pay a lot in taxes. If I'm a Lebanon resident, I pay a lot in taxes. I've seen their tax bills. Or their tax rates, let me say that. I pay a lot in taxes. It doesn't make me an ass to expect the police to be working for the taxes that I pay. It doesn't matter whether it's $216 or $30 or 10 cents. It's the premise of it. The exorbitant amount of taxes people pay, the bare minimum is the police will function. And the city of Lebanon apparently can't make that happen. Which tells you a lot about you can't even make the police work with the taxes people pay without raising their taxes. But yet you want us to believe you're experts in a mega development that has destroyed all that farmland out there. Lilly, Facebook, all these companies coming. You can't even do the police without raising taxes. And again, I would have gladly had this conversation in Gentry's face if he'd have spoke up when he was here and said he's doing a referendum. He didn't. So, Matt, you can't get mad at me. Because I would have gladly had a conversation right to your face. The whole system is broken beyond belief. Because nothing in our system that has been done forces local governments to work with less. Anytime they don't like the number they're quote-unquote given, they can just go put a referendum on the ballot. And if it fails, there's no punishment. If you're going to have the referendums, the elected officials that do it should have skin in the game. And here's the rules. Anybody involved in putting that referendum on the ballot, if it fails, you're fired or you resign if you're an elected official. So if you're the mayor of Lebanon, now he may not care because he ain't running again. But if you're a superintendent, you're a school board member, you're a city council member, you're the chief of police, because the chief of police is all on board on this in Lebanon. Anybody involved with getting this thing on a ballot anywhere, it fails, you so piss poorly represent the people of your district, your community, your city, your town, and it fails, you either are fired without benefits, no payout, no severance. Or if you're an elected official, you quit. How about that? You want to get nuts? Spin the chamber, Boris. But we don't do that. There's zero negative ramification. There's zero ramification for any government entity in this state putting a referendum on the ballot. None. There's nothing. Zero. Until we take away, and I've been screaming about this for 15 years now, until you take away these governments the local government entities' abilities to do referendums and take more of your money, whatever they want. The system can never be fixed. Governments can never be held to account. We will never get, as taxpayers, the value we deserve. Hey, guys, it is, what is today? Today's Thursday. That means you got to start making plans for the weekend. And if you're looking for something different, let those plans include a trip out to Brazil on the water with the beautiful Honeysuckle Hill Bistro. This weekend, they're open for lunch on Friday, dinner on Friday, dinner on Saturday, and brunch buffet on Sunday. I know a whole bunch of you guys have been out there. Our guy Ken Egold, wasn't he yesterday? He's like, I love the bistro. Super lister Ken Egold. He's a regular diner at the bistro. I don't know, many of you have been out there and have said it is everything you advertised, Rob. The owners, Jody and Andy, fabulous supporters of our show. Andy made the sign. They'd love the opportunity to meet you. They love meeting the Rob Kendall Show listeners. They usually send me a picture when you guys show up, and I love seeing those. Reserve your spot today, whether it is for lunch on Friday, dinner on Saturday, brunch buffet on Sunday. 812-443-3003. 812-443-3003, or just Google Honeysuckle Hill Bistro. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, the Indy Star is doing some fabulous investigative reporting on whether or not there was a wish list given to the Hogsett administration and given out by the Hogsett administration from mega donors to Hogsett's campaign. This is some very interesting reporting. Hogsett has weighed in on this. We'll tell you everything you need to know. We'll get you up to date on all of this. When we come back, don't go anywhere. You're watching Rob Kendall Show.
Hi, I'm Lauren Wilson, Realtor with App Properties. I would love to get to know you. I know that buying and selling a home is a really big deal. You need a plan in place so you can succeed. And that's where I come in. If you are buying, let me help you find that perfect home. And if you are selling, let me help you find that perfect buyer. Look, we're all Rob Kendall Show fans here. That's why I'd love to get to know you. I'm Lauren Wilson, Realtor with App Properties, an Army veteran and a Hoosier through and through. Call me at 317-590-2290. 317-590-2290.
Do you have a dog but don't have a fenced-in yard? Your HOA won't allow a fence? Worried about having to watch your furry friend anytime you go outside? Avoid the blazing hot summers and freezing cold winters with All-American Dog Fence. All-American Dog Fence is the cost-effective, easy-to-use, in-ground fence system to keep your dog secure and give you peace of mind anytime they're outside. All-American Dog Fence backs their Pet Stop products with a lifetime warranty. Call or text All-American Dog Fence at 317-862-6606 or visit their website at allamericandogfence.com. Mention the Rob Kendall Show and get $200 off a new installation.
Buying a home or thinking about refinancing? Work with someone local who understands the Central Indiana market. Gary Tedrow with Verity Mortgage helps homebuyers and homeowners explore options for purchasing, refinancing, or even consolidating higher interest debt through their mortgage. Gary's approach is simple, clear advice, and personalized guidance, so you can make confident decisions. Visit loansbygary.homes to learn more or get started today. You've got nothing to lose but dollars on your mortgage payment. So call for a free, no-obligation quote, 317-695-5179. Gary Tedrow, NMLS number 179207 with Verity Mortgage, NMLS number 70345, an equal housing opportunity lender.
Hey guys, welcome back. It is the Rob Kendall Show. Thanks for joining us. Hope you're having a fabulous Thursday. We appreciate you spending your time with us, whether you're watching us live on YouTube or listening to us on demand on all the various podcasting platforms, Apple, Spotify, iHeart. You know the drill. Coming up here, just a little bit. Fascinating conversation with Bill Morrow. Bill Morrow is, he's a legend in Indiana politics and government. And today he serves as the publisher for the Indiana Citizen. It's a nonprofit publication that is all about transparency in government. It's about education with government. And they do some really interesting series on a variety of different topics about Indiana politics, government, et cetera. And they're getting into the school board races this year. How are the school board races going to change now that for the first time, candidates can, they don't have to, but they can declare a party affiliation? But Bill Morrow goes way back to the 80s to the 90s. He is best known probably for people who've been around for a long time as the former chief of staff to Evan Bayh, both as when he was Secretary of State and then as governor. And so we're going to have an interesting conversation about the Democrats, about how did they rise to power, about what were they doing back then, about what happened, especially really over the past 20 years as the Democrats. I mean, we forget Obama won Indiana. Less than 20 years ago, Indiana went Democrat in its choice for president. And now, look, the Democrats are a dumpster fire. What happened? What changed? What went on? And can the Democrats kind of get their mojo back starting this fall with, of all people, Evan Bayh's son, Beau Bayh? So that conversation is coming up in just a little bit. But first, let me tell you about our fabulous friend, Lauren Wilson. She is a realtor extraordinaire with At Properties. She's a Hoosier lifer, a military vet, and she would love the opportunity to go to work for you. Many of you have met Lauren. You've called her. You reached out to her. You'll see what I'm talking about if you do. 317-590-2290. 317-590-2290. Lauren is a bulldog. And one of the things I love about Lauren is she gets so into her clients. Like, her whole goal, she's a perfectionist. I've had this conversation with her, I think I told you guys a few weeks ago, where she was, she said, I got to go in got a meeting with a client. He said, I talked about buying a house the other day. And I said, you talked about buying a house? He said, yeah, I talked about buying a house. We got to go see some more. I said, what do you mean you talked about buying a house? He said, well, I didn't think that house was going to be right for them. I just felt like in a few years they were going to look around and they were going to say, man, I hate being here. And I said, but did that cost you money? She's like, yeah, it cost me a lot of money. I said, really? She said, yeah, but I got to look myself in the mirror. That's what you need. That's the sort of that's the sort of advocate you need in buying or selling a house. Someone who has your interest ahead of their own. Lauren Wilson, realtor with At Properties, 317-590-2290. 317-590-2290. All right. We're going to get into the Hogsett stuff in a little bit because that is super interesting about Hogsett allegedly doling out huge contracts from a quote-unquote wish list to mega donors of his campaign. The Indy Star has been doing some incredible reporting on this. And so we'll get into that in a little bit, probably after our conversation with Bill Moreau. But first, an update on a story that we talked about, it's been maybe a month ago that this came to light? A little bit over a month ago. Yeah, it was right after the election, so a month and a half ago now. Fox 59 with the update. Remember when we told you guys about the election snafu in Knightstown, in which people who lived outside of the town limits got to vote in the election? You guys remember this? All right, let me reset if you don't. So Knightstown is where they filmed the movie Hoosiers. That's where the Hoosier Gym is at. I'm sure you guys have all at some point seen the movie Hoosiers, seen the Hoosier Gym. Knightstown is the little town growing in Henry County. Henry County, so you get on 70, you head east, you run into Knightstown. Get out of the city of Indianapolis, keep going, maybe an hour or so out of the way, you run into Knightstown. And Knightstown, like every other city, town, county in our state, had an election in May. And what they determined shortly after the election was that there was some sort of snafu when they put the ballots into the computer machine, and people who lived outside of the Knightstown limits were able to vote on Knightstown municipal races. So I'm talking primarily the clerk treasurer and the town council. Now, they don't know, the problem is they don't know exactly how many of those votes were cast. They don't know how many of the total votes in the election came from people who got ballots who lived outside the Knightstown limits. And the clerk treasurer's race actually ended up being incredibly close. In fact, it was decided by 3 votes. 3 votes ended up being the difference in the Knightstown clerk treasurer's race. That means if 2 people had changed their mind, the results would have been different. Or, who knows, maybe more than 3 people who lived outside of the Knightstown limits voted for the winner, which would have been the difference. And so one of the town council races was decided by 30 votes. So there's all sorts of calamity now, right? Chaos. What do? We know people who lived outside the town got the ballots. We don't know how many of them there were. We don't know who they voted for, if they voted at all. And by the way, not the problem of the people who lived outside the Knightstown town limits if they voted. If it's on your ballot, you vote for it, right? That's not your problem. And so there was this huge conundrum of what do? Obviously, you have winners. They're like, hey, it's fine. Sometimes there's just mistakes that are made. Everybody go about their day. Have a nice life. But then the losers, especially the guy who lost the clerk treasurer's race, Bart Whitesett is his name. He was like, no thanks. I'm not going to spend 4 years having lost by 3 votes wondering were 3 people outside of the town limits who cost me the election. I'd like a revote. It's like in Hoosiers. Remember in Hoosiers, which is perfect because it's Knightstown. Remember when they vote to fire Norman Dale? They tell Gene Hackman, we've had enough of you. And then Jimmy Chitwood shows up and he's like, I don't know if it'll make any change, but I think it's time for me to start playing some ball. And they're all in the church and the people are like, yeah, Jimmy's back. And then he's like, well, wait a second. If the coach stays, I stay. He goes, I go. And then the old lady pipes up. Barbara Hershey's mom. And she's like, I think we should revote. That's this Bart Whitesett guy. He's the mom in Hoosiers. I think we should revote. And everybody's like, that seems extraordinarily cumbersome and expensive, and we'd have to do it very quick because we have an election this fall. And the winner of the election is like, what if I lose the second time? I won the first one. So it went to a judge. And according to Fox 59, a judge has indeed called for a special election in Knightstown. The judge has agreed. There was also a woman who ran in the town council race who didn't win, who also said, I too would like a revote. And the judge has sided with those people and said we have to redo the election. The chairman of the Henry County Republican Party, John D. Madison, told Fox 59, CBS 4, the judge made a ruling on the potential election, special election, Wednesday afternoon. So there you go. It doesn't appear anything malicious happened. It doesn't appear there was any ill intent. None of that has ever even been insinuated. It just appears that there was some sort of snafu, which, look, it happens. I mean, I'm surprised it doesn't happen more often. You're talking 92 counties, hundreds and hundreds of municipalities having these elections. Sometimes the mistakes, no matter how many times they try to, get all the bugs out or whatever. And candidly, probably the best solution, right? I mean, what are you supposed to do? Tell a guy, hey, we think multiple people, I say illegally, not intentionally, but their vote should not have been cast, and it was cast, and we don't know how many people it was, and you lost by 3 votes? You can't do that. And even the guy who lost by 30 votes in the town council race, I don't know if there were 30 people outside the town who voted, but you got to have unquestioned integrity with your elections. And whether the 30 votes were even cast outside the town limits, there clearly was not unquestioned integrity with these elections. So probably the right thing being done. That's going to really be interesting if the results change. Hey, you guys got a leaky chimney, water in the basement, cracks around the exterior of your home? Bramwell Mackay Property Services and Consultants is your authority for chimney repair, tuck pointing, foundation repair, crawl space to basement conversions, basement waterproofing, and more. Bramwell Mackay doesn't offer quick patches. Their team of 40-year master masons and industry experts address the root cause and provide solutions that last lifetimes. Your home is one of your biggest investments. Treat it that way. Bramwell Mackay, BRAMWELLMCKAY.com. Bramwell Mackay, your masonry foundation and chimney specialist. All right, we don't do a lot of national here, but if it affects us back home, where I think the story is especially awesome, we do it. And this next story, it will affect us here at home, and I think it's especially awesome. And that is that Donald Trump is refusing to sign an affordable housing bill. So for months now, the House and Senate have been trying to come to an agreement on this affordable housing bill. And they believe, now look, you guys remember like in the 2000s when the government got involved in the housing industry? How'd that work out? How'd that go? You guys remember, like 08? Anything going on with housing in 08? Oh, I don't think it went very well. But the government, it never learns its lesson. It's got this quote-unquote affordable housing bill that they say is going to lower housing costs, and it's going to be great for the midterms. And, of course, Republicans are trying to hang on to anything they possibly can to keep the majorities. And so they're like, okay, great. We finally got an agreement. House and Senate, affordable housing bill. Boom. Trump, go to your desk. And Trump's like, yeah, I'll sign that bill. And then it got to Trump's desk, and he was like, nope, not signing that. And they're like, what? Trump is holding up signing the affordable housing bill until the Republicans pass the SAVE Act. I love it. Of course, the SAVE Act is this federal election laws, plural, the law that would have a whole bunch of rules, requirements, whatever, around elections that would require, the big one is it would require every state to have voter ID. It would require every state to have, that would allow, demand, woo! Boy, it was like a brain, like there was a word. It was right there. It was like behind the door. It was like, Rob, let me out. I have your word. It's right here. And I was like, I can't see you. It would demand that all voters show an ID regardless of what state you live in, which I think is great. And Trump has said this was a top agenda item this year. It was his top priority. It is the number one thing. We have to have an election integrity. There was a whole bunch of other things that he and other Republicans say would make our elections more safe, more secure, more reliable, etc. And Trump has said, I am not signing this bill until the SAVE Act is passed, or I have a guarantee the SAVE Act is going to be passed. Now, you guys know the old saying, taco, right? Trump always chickens out. The president has 10 days. If you guys don't know the way a bill works, the president has 10 days from when it makes it to his desk to either sign the bill into law or veto it. Now, if he does nothing, the bill becomes law by default. So a lot of times presidents will do that if they don't want the smoke of signing it, but they also don't really want to be attached to it, but they kind of want it to go in. Like it becomes law automatically if a president doesn't sign a bill. And so we're going to see what Trump does with this. I love the fact that he's trying to get his thing done by saying, I don't care if all you people wanted this. I don't care if all you people wanted this. I'm not going to sign this bill unless you do this thing. And this is the last piece of leverage I have. Because the Republicans are like, but sir, we think the public's going to really be on board with this. We think the public's really going to like this. We think this is going to be great for us in the midterms. He's like, I don't care about your midterms. I'm not up for re-election again. Although, of course, he clearly does care about the midterms, IEC redistricting. But I love that. Good for him. You're not getting what you want. Everybody's ignoring you. They're not going to override the filibuster. Go to the talking filibuster. Now Johnson, the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, came out the other day and said, well, I'll just put it in the reconciliation bill because they're doing another reconciliation bill. And then a bunch of the Republicans were like, we tried that the last time, and the parliamentarian said we can't. He's like, screw it, I'll do it again. So good on Trump. Don't roll over and play dead for these guys. You don't take anything from them. Good on him showing some stones, standing up to these people. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, Bill Morrow is going to join us. Former right-hand man to Evan Bayh, chief of staff to Governor Evan Bayh. We're going to talk about what happened to the Democrats. How did they get in this position? Can they come back? It's going to be a great conversation. Stick around. It's coming up next. You're watching Rob Kendall Show.
Right now, everything's expensive. That includes things you need around the house. If your water heater, water softener, or well pump goes out, or even if your toilet stops working, you could be looking at a major expense. Don't let your next call to a plumber break the bank. Call John at Black Sheep Plumbing. John is a Hoosier lifer who takes pride in and stands behind his work. That's why all basic services and repairs with Black Sheep Plumbing come with a 2-year parts and labor guarantee, with water heaters having a 6-year parts and tank guarantee. Call or text Black Sheep Plumbing for all your needs today and speak directly with John, the owner. 765-315-7558. That's Black Sheep Plumbing at 765-315-7558.
Did you know Honeysuckle Hill in Brazil offers more than just a fabulous made-from-scratch meal at the bistro? It also has an adjoining cottage, great for a perfect, relaxing weekend away with a scenic waterfront view. The cottage offers 3 bedrooms, 2 baths with spa-like tile showers, full kitchen, living room with fireplace, laundry facilities, and a full deck overlooking the lake. And Andy, one of the owners, delivers breakfast in a picnic basket at 8:30 each morning. Plan the perfect weekend away at the scenic Honeysuckle Hill property on the water in beautiful Brazil. Book today by visiting their website at honeysucklehillb.com.
Are you seeing cracks in mortar, moisture working through walls, facade or structural failure beginning to surface? Bramwell Mackay sets the standard for exterior and structural building solutions. Our 40-year master masons and industry experts address moisture intrusion, failing foundations, masonry deterioration, and more. From preserving historic landmarks to addressing modern building envelope issues, Bramwell Mackay delivers full-spectrum service with white-glove professionalism. In Indianapolis, call 812-33-BRICK. 812-33-BRICK.
Welcome back. It is the Rob Kendall Show. Oh, we have such a cool guest in store for you. He's sort of an Indiana historian. He's a political expert. And today he's the publisher of the Indiana Citizen, Bill Morrow. Bill, hello.
Hi, Rob. It's great to be here. Thanks for the invitation.
Now, modern day, a lot of people probably know you best. You published the Indiana Citizen. We'll talk about that in a moment. But you have a unique view on history because you were the chief of staff, one of the right-hand guys to Evan Bayh, so when he was Secretary of State, when he was governor, at a time where Democrats, they didn't rule everything, but they were much more in power than they are today. When you look back at that time to now, what has been the issue with the Democrat Party?
Well, yeah, so I'm talking about a period when dinosaurs roamed the earth, right? I mean, I find myself engaged in conversations like this where somebody observes, yeah, when Evan Bayh was elected Secretary of State, that was, long pause, 40 years ago. And which just, is stunning, right? How the years pass by so quickly. And of course, it makes me remember how young we were, how young he was. And I think that figured into the formula because we were so young and naive.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't know what we didn't know. And so that made us kind of fearless, right?
He was really good, though, at working with everyone. Like, he was very good at forming coalitions.
I guess that's, of course, you can't discount the power of his personality, the power of his intellect. You can't discuss or discount, his basic human impulses, and you can't discount the lessons that he took away from his dad's defeat in 1980.
A lot of people may not know, just to clarify what you're saying here, his dad was, of course, a famous U.S. senator. He lost to Dan Quayle.
Right, and that's how I got my start. I got my start after Purdue, working for Senator Bayh. In fact, my soon-to-be 47-year marriage was
Well,
the
your
product.
wife's a saint.
She is. Was the product of a secret office romance in Birch By's office in 363 Russell, and that really is going in the way back machine. But in terms of the way Evan Bayh processed his, political future, it was, how do we get as many people connected to this process, as we can? And that was always his formula. And I have to admit, there are a couple of times, and I won't mention names or organizations, where I thought it would be of benefit. Look, Governor, they're pissing all over you and trying to, defeat your agenda. Let's just go to war with them. And his response was always no.
So you were the bad guy.
Well, bad guy, bad cop, enforcer.
Yeah.
I got all sorts of labels attached to me back in the day, but I certainly was his advocate, which is something that I was hardwired and am hardwired to do and to be. And I won't say every day was, all butterflies and, symphonies in the background. But I got up every day thinking that we were engaged in something really important. And really one of the most important things that we could do was to introduce Hoosiers to Evan Bayh, and once they got to know him, So
you fast forward to today, and obviously the Democrats are struggling. Nothing's new under the sun, though. It's once again a Bayh who may be pulling them out of the wilderness, or at least that's the hope. Have the Democrats struggled because of messaging, issues, candidates in Indiana, a mixture of it? Why is that, since, you go back to the days of Evan Bayh?
Well, yeah, I think you can go back to the early 2000s and going into the 2010 and 2011 redistricting. You can pull out a map and you can test me on this and go back to the mid-'80s, and you can see the number of Democrats who are being sent to the Statehouse from southern Indiana.
Yeah, a lot, right? That was Democrat territory.
And then, and when you remind people that Barack Obama, carried Indiana in 2008, people don't believe you. But then you look at the 2010 midterms, and you look at the impact of the nascent Tea Party movement. Right, the 2010 midterms were the Affordable Care Act referendum, and you can draw a line from 2010 that goes like this in terms of Hoosier support for Democrats and Democratic candidates. And then along came the 2011 redistricting, and what was determined to be a project called Project Red Map, where there was a concerted national effort to take over the state legislatures in order to draw the 2011 map. So, gerrymandering certainly figured into it. And then, there's this sort of downward trend in Hoosier supporting Democratic candidates sort of statewide, right? And of course, then you can go city by city and you can see them being controlled by Democratic mayors.
Bill Morrow is our guest, and he is the former chief of staff for Evan Bayh. He's currently the publisher of the Indiana Citizen, which we'll talk about in a second. But I look at Beau Bayh, and he sort of seems like the first guy since Joe Donnelly, where I'm like, I really could see this guy getting elected. Like Donnelly always looked to me like a guy, and he ultimately did the first time. I could see him kind of being elected. Do you see a lot of the similar qualities that all those years ago his dad possessed? Is there a lot of crossover there?
Well, now particularly in my current incarnation, I don't know how much I want to go into that topic, except to say that and to acknowledge that I've known Nick and Bo Bies since they drew their first breaths. So I admit to that. And having served their father and their grandfather.
Yeah.
And knowing their grandmother and knowing their mother, I mean, I think I see in Bo just a great combination of a heritage that also includes a very powerful motivation to serve. That's what motivated Birch Bayh. That's what motivated Evan Bayh. That's what's motivating Bo. I mean, let's just be frank. Bo Bayh could do anything he wants to do.
Yeah, he's really won life's lottery.
Well, I know I've heard you say that, and so that whole genetic lottery thing. Yeah, but okay. I mean, you don't build the record that he's built. You don't volunteer to be a Marine officer, right? You don't do the things that he's done because somebody's handed you life on a silver platter. Right. I mean, he's had a good start. He'd be the first to acknowledge that, I feel the same way about myself, about the privileges that I got from my parents.
Because there's a lot of kids who get born to politicians and they're complete idiots, and that's clearly not him.
Or you're not wired to do it. His brother Nick, he's just not interested in doing that stuff. So he's making his own way in a very positive way, making his own
One more question before we get on to Indiana Citizen. When you were the chief of staff, were you cognizant, of how important a job that was, in the moment? Sometimes you're just going about your daily routine, your daily life, and then you have to be past something and realize, oh, that was cool, that was neat, that was special. Were you aware of that in the moment each day when you went to work?
Boy, that is a great question.
That's what I do.
Because I think the answer to that is no, because you did a lot of firefighting.
Yeah.
And, dealing with an inbox that just never seemed to get smaller.
A literal inbox back then in the day
it was
before
a
the
literal inbox. And we were put in the first Democratic administration in 20 years and, just building that from scratch. And the toll that, it takes on one's family life and all that. But, yeah, I think I have over the years come to appreciate in retrospect.
Yeah. Was it fun?
You just took the words right out of my mouth. As I look back at that period, I wished we'd had more fun.
Oh, interesting.
Because we were really tightly wound.
Yeah.
And we didn't want to mess up, right? Those of us who were on the staff, certainly the agency heads, were conscious of whose leadership, right? Who were there to serve. The voters had put Evan Bayh and Frank O'Bannon in office. Then, they didn't put us in office. And so working every day to fulfill their agenda, their dreams. And I will make an observation about the relationship between a governor and lieutenant governor, and make an observation that over these many years that I've been involved in the process, there was never any daylight between the governor and lieutenant governor.
There was simpatico.
Well, there was never that, and the lieutenant governor thought of him or herself as also somebody who was there to implement the governor's agenda.
Right.
I mean, so watching what's happening today between Braun and Beckwith for us old timers is just stupefying.
Yeah.
Right. It's just we can't process what's going on now.
Bill Morrow is our guest. He's the publisher of the Indiana Citizen. Let's talk about that. So several years ago, you decided basically there needs to be more civil discourse. There needs to be more media coverage of government. Take us through when and why you decided to put together the Indiana Citizen.
So it starts with retiring from Barnes & Thornburg at the end of 2019.
They give you a gold watch, or what's that look like?
Yeah, and they gave me my Capital account back, which was delightful. But my wife and I, were planning for this moment and, analyzed, here's the time we're going to spend spoiling grandchildren. This is travel time. And we have these civic responsibilities that are important to us. And in 2019, there was no real evidence that all the time that we had invested in rebuilding a two-party state had stuck. So we thought, well, let's look at the nonprofit, the nonpartisan space. And I'd gotten quite involved with the Indiana Bar Foundation's biennial study, the Civic Health Index that studies, Indiana voter registration and turnout trends. And there we were at the bottom of the stage. Bad. And so what can we do to try to contribute in a nonpartisan way to improving voter registration, voter information and literacy and turnout? And so that's why we went into the 501c3 space to try to bring more Hoosiers into the civic life of our state. And then we evolved into an accountability journalism platform. And I think we've been able to contribute something to the discourse. And along the way, well, I should say right out of the gates, we built an online voter education tool, a voter guide. We call it virtual ballot because that sounds
like that.
Oh, that sounds cooler.
The kids would be into that.
Well, it's cooler. It's cooler than voter guide.
Like publishing is like just a totally different animal if you've never been in it. It's like people that Jason, I've known a lot of people over years like, I want to own a radio station. No, you don't. It's very hard. Like, how long did it take you to figure out, well, here's how you publish a paper?
Well, not long, because, when you're going to move into the nonprofit space and you're going to be completely online, right? We don't publish a paper version. And then managed to, our first editor-in-chief, Kevin Morgan, had spent his career at the Indianapolis Star, and that was a godsend to get him to join us right out of the gate. And so, you sort of build it a day at a time, and you get good people to contribute worthwhile journalism.
How do you decide what stories you're going to cover?
Well, that's a product of a weekly staff call, and we kick around ideas. Our current editor, Marilyn Odendahl, who's been a career professional journalist, had been at the Indiana Lawyer for several years, so it was natural for us to start following Attorney General Todd Rokita, who
he had some issues.
Well, he makes news, and then we got a grant to work on our Christian nationalism project, and so Sydney Byerly is our reporter for that beat. So she gets up every day, trying to find out information about Micah Beckwith and the Christian nationalist agenda for the state of Indiana. So we don't have any challenges in trying to go, oh my gosh, we don't have anything to work on today. Our challenge is trying to work off a list of 25 ideas and get it down.
You're
to
7 years into it. Do you enjoy it still?
Well, yes. I think about some other challenges that are going on in our lives right now. So that I enjoy feeling that we're making a contribution to the civic discourse. But I can't tell you that I enjoy, speaking of contributions, begging people for money.
Yeah, it's bad.
Well, but, it's part of the deal.
Oh, sure. Doesn't mean it's fun.
But, it gets a little tiresome when you'd think after 7 years that we had reached this magic point of sustainability, but, we haven't. And so we're constantly raising money. And
one of the things you guys are covering, which is interesting, because I don't see a lot of people talking about it right now, is there's a big change in school board elections this year in which candidates for the first time can declare a party affiliation.
Yes, thank you.
And you wrote an interesting, I guess you'd call it op-ed, in the Indiana Citizen, which as the publisher, you can probably do whatever you want. Here, post that up. About that. Kind of give us your thoughts on, because my whole thing was like, I feel like they put it in the middle where it's like, this really isn't going to solve anything. If you felt something needed solved, they were like, they were going to make it mandatory. And then they wimped out, like, no, we're not going to do it. And now there's this weird thing where you can do it if you want, but you don't have to. Tell us a little bit about where you're at with the quote unquote partisan school board races.
Well, I loved the way you have covered that particular issue because you summarized it perfectly. So, yeah, Senate enrolled Act 287 from the 2025 session, which passed by a 2-vote majority in the Senate. You know, its principal proponent was Micah Beckwith and some state legislators who decried the idea that in the nonpartisan scheme, there were wolves in sheep's clothing.
Right.
Remember that?
Yeah.
And so they would go kind of school corporation by school corporation and say, well, yeah, Sam Smith was elected as not in this nonpartisan race, but he's really a Democrat.
Right.
He's really a partisan. So let's change that. So in a state where I always thought the kind of unofficial motto was, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Apparently our school board elections were so broke, they needed fixed. And the fix was to join 9 other states. We're now one of 10 that has these partisan school board elections. And by the way, good for you for talking about it in the right way, meaning that candidates can file, right? It did file, the first version was must.
Yeah.
You got to choose a jersey. The final compromise was can.
Yeah.
And so now, for the first time in Indiana history.
Which makes it very confusing to me because, like, on my school board races, I've looked at the candidates. Some have them, some don't. I'm like, that either we're in or we're out. We got to do it or not.
Well, which brings right to the work that we're doing is trying to figure out, first who these candidates are, figuring out how, if in any way they've chosen an affiliation, and most importantly, what's their agenda.
Right.
So,
because you can now get on the list parties that don't even exist, like in Indiana. Like, there's one of my school board people, it's a socialist person or something. It's like, that doesn't parties even exist here. What do you say you're that?
Well, that's a separate interesting question. Because as I read the statute, socialist ain't a choice that you can make.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like some party where I had to go look it up, and I was like, that's not a real person.
So it's going to be interesting at the county level to see how they manage that, because I don't read the statute as permitting that, free soil movement candidate from.
Well, apparently in Hendricks County, at least as of last week, it was allowed because that person existed.
Well, yeah, but how they're going to show up on the ballot, if at all, is a brave new world under this new regime, right? So there are, I guess, 279 school corporations,
right,
that have 805 seats up for election. There could be thousands of school board candidates, and that's why we're working so hard. IndianaCitizen.org, by the way. I think.
Yeah, well, I was going to let you hawk the website again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Why we're devoting the resources to building our virtual ballot from the bottom up this time.
It also seems silly to me that I could have like 5 Republicans that I have to vote for, right? You in the same election. Like, you could have 5 people who declare themselves Republican.
For 5 seats.
For 1 seat, right? You could have, because there's no primary. So which Republican do I choose?
Well, there you go. And so, how the public responds to this first in history election, it will be fascinating to see how this shakes out. And indeed, whether there's a call to return to nonpartisan elections.
I'm not sure I don't like when things are different, right? So we're going to have nonpartisan elections, and we said those elections were great. Well, maybe we make every election nonpartisan, right? We actually run ideas. I'm not saying we should do that. I'm just saying it seems like in our state government.
Rob, there's a fascinating, worthwhile conversation to have about whether it makes a difference to elect a Republican versus Democrat surveyor,
right, or
coroner, right? And so a list, I think that discussion begins with, should the office be elected,
right?
And if so, should it be a partisan election? Right. I mean, I could make the case that we want to have elections for prosecutor and sheriff because they can deprive you of their our liberty,
right?
But is there a Republican versus Democrat way of implementing that office? I think that's a great conversation with them, because particularly if you care about turnout, right? What's keeping people from going to vote?
I think your pieces on these school board races are going to be interesting. The school stuff is now a mess. You're going to have potentially 100 school referendums this fall. School board race is going to be a part of it. I love that you guys are covering. Indiana Citizen.
.org.
You've got the .org. That's the big one. That's the civic people.
Exactly.
.org are the civic people.
And I'm Bill.Morrow at indianacitizen.org if you want to contact me, because we need all the help we can get. Volunteers helping us track these school board races.
All right. indianacitizen.org is the website. The great Bill Morrow. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob.
All right, take a break. We'll be back. You're watching Rob Kendall Show.
Is your driveway showing signs of wear? Freeze-thaw cycles, road salt, environmental buildup like mold and dirt can all cause unsightly damage that can end up in an expensive repair. That's where Seal Now comes in. Seal Now are the clean, seal, and stain professionals that can help you protect your outdoor surfaces. Got a worn-out fence or deck? They can revive the look while providing long-term protection. Call today, 317-548-2002, or visit sealnow.com. Not only will you get a free estimate, but mention you heard about Seal Now on The Rob Kendall Show and receive 20% off any long-term sealing project.
Is the inside of your house a total mess, like a complete dumpster fire? Call AJ's Picture Perfect Cleaning. When you walk into your house after using AJ's Picture Perfect Cleaning, you will see and smell the difference. They take great pride in their workers and treat your home like their own. All cleaners pass through a background check and drug screening. Call today and mention you heard about AJ's Picture Perfect Cleaning on The Rob Kendall Show, and you will get an incredible $50 off your first clean. AJ's Picture Perfect Cleaning serves all of Central Indiana. Book your appointment today by calling 317-530-8148. 317-530-8148.
If authentic wood-smoked barbecue is your thing, Double D's Barbecue in Clayton is the place for you. Owners Dennis and Tina Duncan, along with their son Garrett, are from Memphis. So when it comes to barbecue, they're not screwing around. No pellet smokers, no roasters, just authentic wood-smoked Memphis-style barbecue. All of Double D's food is cooked fresh daily, and it's all made from scratch. Double D's Barbecue, located at 40 and 39 in Clayton, is open all day, Wednesday through Saturday, but get there early because once they're sold out, they're done. Check out the full menu, ribs, brisket, and more at ddbbq317.com.
Welcome back. It is the Rob Kendall Show, Indiana news, politics, and government. Nobody does it like us. Thanks for joining us. Hour 3 is upon, and it is, of course, brought to you by the great John Rust. The other day at Rust's speech, he's like, maybe I should start promoting something with my third hour. I do have an egg business. He doesn't really want anything, though. He's just like, I just like the show. So here's some money. Do a third hour. John Rust brings us the third hour. So thank you to John for that. Hey, before we get to this story about Hogsett, which is fascinating to me, and then Jason will join us here in just a little bit for the best YouTube comments of the day, brought to you by Black Sheep Plumbing. Don't forget, if you're wanting to get out to Double D's Barbecue in Clayton, today is your last day of the week to do that. Now, normally they're open Wednesday through Saturday, but this week it's their Super Bowl. It's Rib Fest in Hendricks County, and so they are getting ready for that on Friday. And, of course, they will be there on Saturday. So if you want to get out to enjoy some great Memphis-style wood-smoked barbecue, many of you guys have been out there and have said it's just absolutely outstanding. Today is your day to do it. It is Thursday. That is Loaded Baked Potato Day. And, of course, as we said, Tina and Dennis Duncan, their son Garrett, husband and wife team, their son Garrett, they are the owners, and they don't mess around when it comes to their barbecue. Of course, they have been the winners of best ribs and best sauce at Rib Fest in Hendricks County. They're hoping to repeat that again this year. And check them out. It's a little drive there on Clayton, or on 40 out to Clayton, right there at 40 and 39. Normally open Wednesday through Saturday. Today is the last day they're open this week, though, as they prepare to try to wow the masses at Rib Fest in Hendricks County. So if you're heading out to that, which is, of course, at the Hendricks County Fairgrounds on Saturday, be sure to check out. Be sure to look for Double D's Southern Barbecue at Rib Fest. Go up and say hi. They're huge fans of this show. And Tina and Dennis, Double D's, sponsoring our live show coming up Saturday night. They've got a gift certificate to give away. They've got some other cool stuff that they're going to be a part of. And check them out. Support those who support the show. Double D's Southern Barbecue. If you can't make it out this week, Plan for next week, Wednesday through Saturday. Get the full menu, ribs, brisket, and more. DDBBQ317.com. DDBBQ317.com. Okay, let's see. Hogsett. Okay, here we go. So the Indy Star has spent the last several days revealing, along with Mere Indy, they were working with a publication by the name of Mere Indy, have been revealing the results of their investigation into whether there was what they're calling a wish list presented to the mayor of Indianapolis, to his administration, from campaign mega donors. Basically, we gave you money, we got you elected, these are the contracts that we would like to get because we were a supporter of you. Now, I am sure this happens quite a bit, just to various levels of brazen. And by the way, everybody should totally go read, when we get done here today, the investigative reporting by the Star, by Mere Indy. It's very good. It's very good, as they usually do with their investigative reporting. Haley Colombo on the Indy Star side. And we may try to get Haley on the program next week because it is really well done. And I think this happens all over the place, right? I've told you guys this for years. Very few people give money to politicians out of the goodness of their heart, right? Because let's face it, a lot of these politicians are some of the most unlikable people walking the face of planet Earth. There's no way you would just freely give money to a politician because of the magnitude we're talking about here. Because they're such a swell guy. What a great guy Joe Hogsett is. I would almost guarantee you that's never been said in the history of ever. No one in the history of ever has ever been like, what a swell guy Hogsett is. He totally doesn't have any issues. He's a blast to be around. What a great guy. Here's a bunch of money. And it's certainly, we know it's not because he's doing a great job running the city, right? Nobody's like, damn, this city is on, well, I was going to say the city's on fire, which it kind of was during the riots. So maybe they did. My point is, people give, in many instances because they want something. Look at what we've seen with Diego Morales. You think these people who gave these massive checks, who got the no-bid contracts, you think that's a coincidence? Of course not. So Hogsett, after this investigative reporting, which has been rolled out over multiple days by the Indy Star and Mere Indy, finally got asked about their reporting. And he said, quote, "That's just absurd." He said, quote, "just did not happen." And again, this is about his campaign, Joe Hogsett's campaign, delivering wish lists to his administration, to City Hall, based off of what campaign donors wanted. According to the Star, Hogsett said he was assured by his campaign finance consultant, Emily Gerwitz, that, quote, there were no such thing. Well, that's not great grammar, but I'm sure that's the least of Hogsett's problem. There were no such thing. So Hogsett's like, they're like, okay, there's no thing. How do you know? He's like, well, my campaign finance consultant assured me of it. And she'd never lie. And I never lie. So what are you people doing here? According to the Star, a reporter caught up with the mayor after he left. This is the most Hogsett thing ever. He left out a back exit following an Indy Chamber event on June the 23rd. So what would that have been? That'd have been Tuesday, right? Can you imagine? You're the mayor. I got to get out this back exit. Oh, damn, there's the Star. His first public appearance after the news outlets published reporting showing how his campaign had advanced the interest of his donors behind closed doors while he'd been mayor. Now, one of the reasons the Star started digging into this was Hogsett initially ran on, I'm going to clean up City Hall. I'm going to keep the donors at arm's length. Don't give to me if you want something, because it's not going to happen here. Quote, the truth is that I come to work every day to represent all of the people of Indianapolis, and that's exactly where my focus has been, and that's where it'll continue to be. Unless, of course, there's a riot, and the city burns and people die and businesses get destroyed, well, then we have no idea where you were at. But other than when there's a riot, I come to work. That's why I come to work every day. I love that. That's how he started that way. Yeah, he checks on the businesses. That is exactly what that is. He goes on to say, and with all due respect to your reporting, I think you ignored important aspects of my tenure as mayor that needed to be included in the story. But that's your judgment. So here's my offer to Joe Hogsett. I would love to have a conversation about your entire tenure as mayor. And you may sit here and you may talk as long as you want. Now, I have some questions too. But if you actually want to get the whole story about your whole tenure as mayor out, you are welcome here on the Rob Kendall Show. I have a few very minor, easy to answer questions, and then you can get to your entire tenure as mayor. Reporting showed that 3 of his donors received city public works contracts included on the wish lists within months of being hand-delivered to Dan Parker, who oversaw the Department of Public Works at the time, according to the Star. The story also found that Emily Gurwitz, the campaign official who arranged for the wish list to be delivered, sent names of his donors to the administration for potential board appointments. At least once, a name was sent within days of a donation to Hogsett. And it's a big article. You guys go read the whole thing over at IndyStar. And I think the broader story here isn't whether Joe Hogsett's a rotten human. He is. I don't think the bigger story is whether Joe Hogsett's a horrible, rotten liar. He is. I don't think the story here is whether Joe Hogsett's a dumpster fire of a human being. He is. I don't think the story is whether Joe Hogsett has run a rotten, corrupt administration. He has. I think we've seen that play out too many times. I think the bigger issue is that this happens everywhere. All over the place. And that you have a government where there is government for one set of people and government for another set of people. People give money to politicians. I'm not talking about the people that give the $25 or $50 or even $100. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the people that give, in the thousands and thousands of dollars to these politicians. They're not doing it because they like them. They're not doing it because they want to hang out with them. They're not doing it because they're doing a great job. They're doing it because they want something. And it comes back to the bigger argument about money in politics. And what are we going to do about it? And I admit, I've changed my opinion on this over time. I was a person that for years and years and years, because I was led to believe it, it's a Republican talking point, that money is freedom. Money is freedom, and that's freedom of speech, and you should be able to give your money to whoever you want. And for the most part, I agree, you should be able to give your money to whoever you want. However, not when that person has the ability to then make that person money with contracts paid for by me. Clearly, our politicians are being bought and sold by pick your favorite industry. Look at the amount of money these companies, these industries, these corporations spend on lobbyists, attorneys, advocates, whatever you want to call them. They go by a bunch of different names. They don't do that for fun. They do it because they want public policy that will tip the scales in their favor and will make them money. I go back to look at a lot of these school referendums, especially the ones that are the capital school referendums, the buildings, and then compare them to the ones that are teacher pay referendums. Look at who gives. If you look at, because as we've talked about, the referendums are rigged in the school's favor where they can spend public money to help pass them, to facilitate their passing. But then look at the political action committees that normally line up with the school referendum. Look at who gives to them. There's a good chance when you look into a political action committee that's supporting a school referendum, especially a capital one, it's going to be backed by construction companies. Why? Because construction companies make money off the referendum. Or it's going to be backed even if it's not a construction referendum by construction companies, even if it's an operating referendum, a lot of times, it'll be backed by construction companies who have made money off doing business with the school. Unwritten rule, right? Even if it's not said out loud. Hey, you want that next, elementary school, right? You want to do business, right? And not just construction companies, all sorts of different industries who do business with school corporations. There's going to be countless school referendums this fall. Go look at the campaign finance reports of the political action committees that support the referendum. See who the donors are. We'll look at the things like when the school corporations or education funds have golf outings. Who are some of the biggest supporters? Construction companies. Why? Because they make huge money. Hey, you definitely want to give us X amount of dollars for our education fund or education foundations or parent support groups golf outing, right? Well, it's a no-brainer. Yeah, okay, we'll spend $1,000 with you guys. Why? Because we're going to make tens of thousands of dollars off the construction referendum, of the construction projects. This happens all over the place. Look at who gives to these politicians. Look at who gives them money and how much they give them. Do you think that guy that we laid out last week, the CEO of that company that's gotten millions of dollars in no-bid contracts, millions of dollars of contracts with Diego Morales' office, did so because he likes Diego? Anybody who's ever spent 2 seconds around Diego is like, get the hell away from me. You think they did that because Diego's dynamic personality? Because, yeah, everybody wants to hang around with the bizarre psycho who grabs a microphone and runs up on stage like Steve Buscemi in The Wedding Singer and starts incoherently psychobabbling, half of it in English people could understand, with words that didn't go together. Do we have that video on cue? Like, if I want it, can I get it? Of Diego? I don't know how we operate here. We can't do that? Okay. I mean, I would just play it for you again. You guys we played it a gajillion times of him just screaming nonsense. And you're like, yeah, somebody's going to give him 50 grand because he's such a great guy. No. Everybody knows what's going on here. I mean, this is our system. So when I think about getting money out of politics, I've changed on that. I am for very, very, very tight restrictions on how much can be donated. Why? Because the system has proven itself over and over and over again far too corrupt to exist on its own. Far too unethical to exist on its own. These politicians have proven they are too weak to be trusted. That you have to have some sort of mandated safeguards, restrictions around campaign donations. So it's not Hogsett. I mean, it is Hogsett, but it's everywhere. It's so many of these people doing what their corporate masters are telling them, doing their bidding at our expense. I'm sick of it. I don't know about you. Hey, you guys got a leaky chimney? Masonry color mismatch? Previous repair catching your eye? Not happy with the brick color around your home and ready for a total makeover? Bramwell Mackay Property Services and Consultants offer specialized masonry staining and recoloring. Whether you want to seamlessly blend repairs or completely transform your home's exterior, you want to build something new? Bramwell Mackay's 40-year master masons design and construct custom patios, sidewalks, outdoor summer kitchens, archways, entryways, and more. Bramwell Mackay, BRAMWELLMCKAY, BramwellMackay.com, beauty built to endure. And with that, it is time for us to make you the star. We do this every day. We read the best YouTube comments of the day. We do this because you are our family. You are the star of the show. Without our show, we would have none of you. And it spurs great thoughts and comments from me that I would not have otherwise had, because you are the lifeblood that keeps this mind moving. Producer Jason joins us now.
Well, that's quite the intro there, Rob.
Hey, thank you. That's what I do.
Although mostly of it was about you.
I'm a builder-upper.
Yeah.
But I got to your name at the end.
Yeah, you did. I mean, you did a fine job doing that. So let's get to John McKinney and Black Sheep Plumbing, sponsor of this phenomenal chat. If your water heater, water softener, or well pump goes out, or even if your toilet stops working, you could be looking at a major expense. Don't let your next call to a plumber break the bank. Call John at Black Sheep Plumbing. Black Sheep Plumbing can do the job right at a fraction of the cost of the big guys. And Black Sheep Plumbing says thank you to all military, firefighters, and police officers with an American Heroes discount. Call or text Black Sheep Plumbing for all your needs today. Speak with John directly, 765-315-7558, 765-315-7558, Black Sheep Plumbing.
All right.
Fantastic.
Great job.
All right.
You're off to a great start today.
I usually am. And, it helps with these awesome chatters and talking about Hogsett there. Everybody, of course, having comments about his favorite hobby, so we probably won't go into all those, but they are all very good and all along the lines of C. Mills, who kind of sums it up for everybody. Hogsett heard they have a bar at the Mad Hatter. Look for him to crash the party. That's one way to get him in.
So just a reminder for the YouTube chat, in order to participate, it's very simple. All you have to do is subscribe to our YouTube channel, and then you can enter in every day with a great community of hundreds of very loyal, happy, kind souls. Make some new friends, and potentially get your comment read at the end of the program.
That is correct. Just like Rock Laws.
Oh, yeah.
He was first last night.
Oh.
For some reason, last night's chat stayed for today.
If you're new, this is a long-standing mystery that we've yet to solve on how the chat actually works. Sometimes all the chat goes away when we start the show live. Sometimes the chat does not go away when we start the show live. We think maybe it all just may be accidental.
Yeah, I post about 6 or 7 o'clock, and the diehards usually hop in and say hello to everybody and things like, Kevin Branham, he won his fever parlay last night.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah. And Caitlin Clark ended up getting beat up and knocked out of the game there, third quarter.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I mean, you got to have better than high school referees in there. I don't know where they get these people from.
And you watch all the fever games.
I usually watch, yeah. A couple nights ago it was pretty chippy. They had like 7 technicals. They all got into it. So last night I thought there'd be some good fisticuffs. Not to be. They were just allowing them to beat up on Caitlin as they usually do. So they're trying to kill that golden goose.
I got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So congratulations, Kevin, who also adds good night, Rob and Jason. And I'm sure there's a good morning coming up soon.
Good night.
McLovins, she ended our evening yesterday with, hey, guys, super late. I know. I'm up at my camper, got the cornhole, 2 pylons, and a designated parking sign to put at the tailgate spot. That's for Michael and Debbie.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah. Might grab a couple extra chairs. So hopefully the weather cooperates, and we're going to find out. We're going to talk to John from Mad Hatter and make sure that it's not illegal to tailgate. It's a huge parking lot.
Yeah, it's
very
huge.
large parking lot. I'm sure we can find some space to, just don't be harassing and flashing the people as they drive by, McLovins.
The other thing was, Ballard people reach out yesterday. They're like, would you care if we come to the parking lot before the thing and get signatures? And I said, hey, man, the parking lot's, public, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do whatever you want to do.
Well, it's private, but yeah.
You know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
So I said, it's, they're not coming in the thing. They're like storming the event. But I know many of you have
they
said,
buy a ticket. They could
come all you want.
Yeah.
But many of you I know had said you want to sign the petition. If you don't, tell them to get lost. No problem with that whatsoever. But I think they may be there. They may not be there. I don't know. But if they're there, they had said they might come.
Andy Engel, he's a big Sophie Cunningham fan. He always takes the opportunity to. He is a very big fan, and why not? Right?
Who's your favorite player on the Fever?
Well, I mean, I would say it's not a player. It's the combination of. It's kind of like back when the Celtics and the Lakers, when Bird and Magic kind of recreated the NBA.
Right.
That's what they're sputtering, but that's what the Fever could accomplish that, but they need a nemesis, and it's just basically them against the entire league. So it's not quite there. But but my point was that you've got it's not just a Larry Bird situation with Caitlin Clark, who's a phenomenal passer and shooter and all that stuff. But, you got Sophie, you got the Hull, Lexi Hall, Mitchell, and Boston. And it's a good group of girls. They play well, they play good, they play fast. That's the thing. It's not slow like people have the image of women's basketball. But man, I think there's a lot of racism in there. There's a lot of there's a lot of politics in that, and the officials are not doing anything to stop that.
Interesting.
Okay. Anyway, so we continue on. Wald Rep, a new one in the chat. Looking forward to the interview discussing Buc-ee's. On Tuesday's show, you kept saying it was on exit 95. It's actually going to exit 97. I did clarify that, and yes, Wald Rep.
Oh, speaking of clarified, would you like to tell the people that I was right, that you need to take the cognitive test, that I was not boozing it up at the last live event?
A cognitive test. It was just that, it was the WIBC show that you were getting plastered and drinking like a fish with everybody else.
That was years ago.
Beers. It was October, wasn't it?
No, it was
okay,
years
well, we're
ago.
not going to get into all that, but...
So we admit...
So it wasn't the last show. It was the show before last.
Years ago.
But I was correct in describing your alcoholic
What did I tell?
behavior,
What did I tell you? I said I drank. Hammer did that Thunder Beers thing with everyone. It wasn't just me.
Right.
Our producer.
So apparently, I was the only one drinking at the Hammer and Rob
I guess so. I don't know. I was like, man, I'm not going on the stage by myself with drinking beforehand.
Learned your lesson there.
But my favorite. So this is a true story.
At least you didn't have to drive me home like your other producer.
Well, that was what. So
yeah.
The reason. Tell us now. It doesn't matter. The reason that I was like, no more ever drinking before anything that I got to go do in public.
Good rule.
Hammer. When we do,
who can handle his alcohol?
Well, used to do the night with WIBC thing. Decided before we went on stage, he's like, let's do a round of Thunder Beers. Well, I'd never done that before. And it's, where you...
I said, Rob, it's not a good idea.
You chug the beers until the singer for AC/DC starts singing again. So there's the music, right?
Right.
Depending on when you get it, it could be 2 seconds.
I got you.
It could
What
be
was the song?
Thunderstruck.
Oh, okay.
And, I participated, as did many other people. And then I'm thinking, I got 30 minutes, an hour before we're supposed to go on stage. They're like, all right, you guys are on in 10 minutes. I was like, oh, that's not going to be good.
Mm-hmm.
I did chug 4 bottles of water between then and when we went on stage. So it's fine. And I did a fine performance. It wasn't like I was out slurring my words or anything.
Right.
But I was like, I'm not doing that ever again.
Yeah, I remember, and the reason maybe I was a little foggy there, because I left the WIBC night out. Let's see, you, Hammer, I don't know if you were on first.
We would have been on, it was
Casey.
Tony, and then...
No, Tony was on, because I left at that point. It was like, okay, it's over. I've got to go. I can't take this anymore.
Yeah,
so
anyway.
I left
after
that.
So, after that, I was like, no more anything public, not even a sip of anything. I'm not doing that anymore.
That's probably a good rule of thumb.
So thank you. I was not drinking at our last live show, nor I
it was
drinking
the
this
one before that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. But I was still correct in describing it all.
Which is what I kept telling you. I said, you're conflicting two things together. And you're like, I wasn't at that one. I was like, yes, you were at that one.
It was at Butler. I didn't remember going because normally I don't go to things. So, all right, Rob, you win. You got that one. All right. Wald Rep. I don't think I'm Sleepy Joe or anything.
No. I just was like, I knew what you were doing. I'm like, you're conflicting two events and merging them together.
Right. We've taken a lot of time on that the last two shows.
Perfect.
Okay.
I was not letting you get away with letting people think that I was boozing it up before the live show.
Right.
You
will
get
show.
Look, it may be a terrible performance. You will get a sober performance. A terrible sober performance.
And sometimes you might need a little lubrication to, but that's all right. We'll do it up. All righty. Debbie Holcomb. McLevins, thank you so much for thinking about securing a spot for us to park. You have no idea how much stress that relieves.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
Michael's got his chair.
Yeah.
You got to get Michael in and out. Sweet Michael.
Right. That'd be tough. Okay. C. Mills, good morning all. Ready for a great Thursday. Feeling better and better every day and can't wait for the live show this weekend. Bringing a surprise guest a lot of people will know.
Oh.
A surprise guest that will know.
How exciting.
Who would that be?
I don't know.
We'll have to find out. Get a Chuckle. That's the name. Get a Chuckle.
Yeah.
People that live on Worthsville, we're talking about the Buc-ee's now.
Yeah.
People who live on Worthsville Road have already encroached on farmland. 30 years ago, it was all farmland. Yeah, I moved in Greenwood. Well, actually, I was born in Greenwood, moved away, moved back when it was all still farmland back there. And yeah, it's not farmland anymore. But there's a big difference between, the housing developments versus industrial and the Buc-ee's and all that stuff. Chris White, 1974. Buc-ee's has been coming for over a year. Wasn't a secret. I will take it over another warehouse or distribution center along 65. Warehouses and distribution centers don't bother me on that side of 65 because they don't bring traffic onto 31 and Worsville where you get stuck for, you consider the same stoplight literally for 4 or 5 revolutions before you get through those. It's just insane.
This was the conversation we had after we got off the air, though, with Dave, who was our guest, talking about the Buc-ee's. What I can't figure out is, how does Greenwood have all this stuff, but their school system keeps getting smaller? Like, they went from like 5A to 4A, now they're 3A.
Greenwood?
Yeah.
Oh, they screwed up absolutely.
The actual Greenwood school system keeps getting smaller.
Yeah, that
it's
wasn't
crazy.
in the interview, was it? Yeah, so what had happened was Greenwood, in their infinite wisdom, they only cared about the old town Greenwood. And basically, as Clark Township, whatever they call it. Clark Pleasant school systems, they started eating away to the north of Greenwood.
Right.
So, like, I can literally see Greenwood High School and Greenwood Middle School, but if I had a child in school, they would have to go all the way down to the Whiteland School District because it's literally like 2 blocks away. Greenwood had no concept at all. And that's why the town, it's going to be Brownsburg where you cannot drive. You basically will never be able to drive in Greenwood once this
because
this
Whiteland is
terrible.
6A.
2-lane roads, and they just had no planning. They love putting up new buildings and bragging about the money they spend on the new buildings and all that, and but they can't build a road. It's just
because I was
terrible.
Like, Whiteland's school system is 6A, and it's like massive. Greenwood gets smaller. I was like, how is this happening?
They have the worst Main Street you could ever imagine, and God love the people there that try to, the businesses and the bars and things like that. It's a cool little area, but the road's about 4 feet wide or something there, and you can't get through downtown Greenwood. It's during rush hour. Nonetheless, Dude of Sauce, cool music. That would be the intro music.
Oh.
We haven't even hit the show yet. These people are commenting all before
this is pre-show.
This is pre-show stuff.
Thanks to Dean Klein, who wrote the show theme.
There we go. Kevin Branham at Chris. The area will be developed no matter what. I think it will bring more businesses to the sports complex. I had no idea there was another sports complex coming in because they just built a brand new one in Greenwood in the downtown. So, whatever. Charles Ludi. Charles didn't make the chat yesterday, and what did he say? He was skunked because he skunked again.
Oh,
so, Charles, you made it today. Good day, Robbleheads. Is it just me, or did Jason switch up the pre-show music? No, I want to. We probably should, but people seem to like that countdown music, so we leave that in there. Kevin Branham, nice shirt today, Mom Kendall.
She did a fine job.
She did a fantastic job. I almost wore my blue one, but I thought Rob hasn't wore a blue one this week, so he's bound.
I almost wore the blue one, and I thought the same thing.
Did you?
Yes.
Wear it tomorrow. I'm wearing mine tomorrow.
Okay.
All right. CM Tharp. Buc-ee's pays well and care for their employees. I've heard that. That's good. A business should. All right. MLM Warriors. Buc-ee's is awesome. Buck 0707. A little off topic, but I think Rob needs to have billboards kept up in northern Indiana as well as added to southern Indiana. Those people really need to know what's going on in our state.
Rust?
Because they want to know.
We need Rust. You got billboards up in northern Indiana?
I think Russ is doing quite a bit. I think we should really appreciate what John has done
we do.
for us.
I told you
for more.
I had never seen him speak publicly. Like, obviously, I'd met with him several times, and he's been on the show and the old radio show.
Mm-hmm.
But he was a great public speaker. The speech he gave to the Defenders of Liberty about the founding of the country and the founding fathers and the sort of rank and file soldiers, and he was excellent. And then I learned a whole bunch of stuff about Rust and his conservative background and going to see Margaret Thatcher when he was a kid, and he was great. He needs to make sure if he runs for something again, now that they can't kick him off the ballot, that he gets out in front of as many people as he can because people will like him when they see him speak publicly.
Mm-hmm. Charles Ludi, back in it again. I've heard Buc-ee's has an entire wall of gummy worms. Okay.
Well, it's 74,000
Seems like
square
a waste
feet.
of a wall. I don't know. Okay, Chris White. Inevitable once the Worstville interchange was completed years ago. Yeah, and the Worstville Road, as it goes over 65 from the west, from Greenwood, from town, I don't use it. It was like, oh, this is going to be great because we can get on the interstate quicker if you're south of Main Street. Now, they still line way up. It's 25 miles an hour for like 2 miles or something because it's all schools on the road. And they line up to get on the interstate. And there's one lane that goes across the interstate over to the east of the interstate. And that's where everybody's going to be, because when they open up, everybody, Center Grove, Greenwood, everybody is going to be flooding over to go to Buc-ee's.
Yep.
And they're all going to be funneled into one lane.
Yep.
And they just built that whole thing. It's one of those really screwy, not even a roundabout. It's just really weird. And they're not going to be able to they can't widen it or anything. It's just going to be a cluster.
It's going to look like the end of Field of Dreams where those cars are just lines,
so
miles
if you live
of
in
cars.
Greenwood, don't plan on going to Buc-ee's until about 2028. Because wait for the line to get down. Plus the people getting off the interstate. I'm not against the advancement and all that stuff. They're going to build things, but it's just Greenwood has never been credited for thinking ahead. Let's put it in, and then we'll figure out the roads. Chris White. Okay, we just read Chris. Thanks, Chris, for that one. Baby Fishmouth. Is Matt Gentry related to Mike Gentry?
That's his dad.
That's his dad. Okay, I think somebody else answered that, but I wanted to make sure we got that in there, Baby Fishmouth. Kevin Branham, the police should go back to policing. If they need money, start giving out motor vehicle violation tickets. Nobody obeys the traffic laws anymore. That's probably a good point there. I think they'd have to get a lot of tickets, though. What's an average ticket? A couple $100, $150. You'd have to. So if you gave 10 of those, that'd be $1,100. If you gave 100 of them, that'd be $100,000. Am I correct?
I don't know. You're trying to
yeah, 100 times 100 would be 100,000, right? So that's chump change. They can't give enough tickets to make the money they can get off of a referendum.
Yeah.
Right. The old man 68. I would be more apt to support a libertarian candidate if they put one up that doesn't come across as wearing tinfoil hats and live in a fallout shelter. Too many wacky conspiracy theory candidates. They do tend to put up loonies.
Well, and then they bitch. They don't do better.
Yeah. Charles Ludi. Man, Charles making sure he's in the chat today. There we go. The entire political paradigm, right? No, paradigm. That's what I said. Of left versus right is becoming a smokeless gun. If you think there are only two sides, you are being used as a tool. These people are driving me nuts. Yep, we're all tools. Mad Duck, if you vote. Mad Duck, a sad thing to me about Buc-ee's is it's like Kings Island without the thrill rides. No thrill rides in Buc-ee's. C Mills, I don't mind Buc-ee's, but they needed to put it further out than Greenwood. A lot of them are kind of on the outskirts. Find an empty exit and put it there. I think south of Franklin, you got a whole stretch there south of Franklin, Edinburgh, Taylorsville. That's where the shops, whatever that talks about. I don't go to those, but the outlet shops down there would have been perfect, I would think, especially if they're going for traffic. Josh Richardson, seems like no matter where a large development is built, the updated roads always come second, exactly, or third, or fourth. Charles Ludi, morning, Ducky. Everyone noticed someone was missing yesterday. Yes, even I jumped in the chat. Anybody talk to Mad Duck? Hopefully she's okay. Having some issues, not health related to her, so that's good. But she says she popped in at some point and said she'll explain later. C Mills, also, Worstville Road has a diverging diamond intersection, as I was talking about. Those things work well until there's a bunch of traffic, then they go to hell. Yep, they do. Kevin Branham at C Mills. You should try to navigate the roundabouts on 31 in Smith Valley. Yeah, we're getting into the weeds there, people that don't know the area, but yeah, those are terrible. Roundabouts are fine. I like roundabouts, honestly. I'd rather have a roundabout, but they build them really wacky anymore. And let's see here, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, Mad Duck, you talked about how many acres? With
74,000 square feet, and then there's it's 80 acres, but only half of it's going to be for the Buc-ee's, 40 acres, I think.
Right, and Mad Duck says the other 40 acres will just be paved over. Pavement is covering everything. That's right. What was the song?
Paved Paradise, put up a parking lot.
Yeah.
Joni Mitchell. That's what we were trying to think of that yesterday.
Joni Mitchell. Yeah. Don B., look at the traffic congestion at Main Street. It will become like that on Worstville. That is correct. See, I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one who sees it. MLM Warriors, I like the simple looks of the interview area. Let me turn that down. Need a dump button. I like the simple looks of the interview area with Rob in the pink shirt and the Buc-ee's town council dude. I don't think
he's from Buc-ee's nor town council.
The Beaver is strong, but has been beaten. Build Buc-ee's. Okay. So I think what MLM Warriors was saying, that other people have fought a Buc-ee's and won.
Oh, really?
Perhaps. But MLM Warriors is for the Buc-ee's.
Oh.
I believe.
I'm
not even really opposed because I don't go that way or out that area anymore. I mean, as long as they're not building it in downtown Greenwood, it's like, well, they're going to do what they're going to do because it is all farmland out that way. All right, Steve Green with an E. Love Stuckies. Great memories traveling. Yeah, that's because somebody had made the comment. Who was that? Somebody else made a comment about the Stuckies. Remember Stuckies, Rob?
No, what's a Stuckies?
Really?
No, nothing.
Damn.
What is it?
It's like it wasn't like Buc-ee's. It was just a I don't know. What did they have? They were known for their pecan rolls. When you were a kid, there was not a gas station every other exit or whatever,
right.
So you had to go a long way.
Yep.
And you would look for the Stuckies, and you go in, you get your pecan roll and your hot dog, and it was just basically the roadside shop.
You know what I miss?
Before they had McDonald's on every corner.
I miss being able to pump your gas and then go in and pay for it. Remember, you used to be able to do that? Like you.
Well, yeah, I understand why they wouldn't though.
But I remember in college, you could still do that. That wasn't that long ago.
In New Jersey, you can't pump your own gas.
That's right.
They make you.
Swifties still exist where they come out and pump the gas for you, don't they? There's still Swifties?
Oh, I don't know. I've not seen one of those. Tom Heller. Big-ass projects like Buc-ee's aren't concerned with building community. They're interested in maximizing their revenues.
That's right.
Yep. Don B., after the smallish Walmart went in at Emerson and I-465, traffic became horrendous. That used to be just a bunch of cornfields as well with no traffic at all. You could zip right up Emerson Avenue, which would parallel 65, and you could avoid a lot of the backups. Not anymore. Stoplight about every half a block. The magnet effect that sucks in all the other retail industry chokes off an area. That's what will happen to Buc-ee's.
Well, that's what Dave was talking about, and we'll post that interview once we get off the air here today. Dave was talking about, he was saying that look at what comes around it. It's not just the development itself. It's the development that they'll put in around that and the damage that could potentially do as well.
Cat lady grandma.
Oh.
Yeah. Can we take care of current issues before they start building? Stop building crap. Yeah. Vic Ferrari. Speaking of beavers. No. I can't put those two comments together. I'll come back.
Thank you.
Steve Mills. Okay, well, he agreed with Vic on that. You want to see this in the chat, go ahead and go to the chat, and you can see all this stuff. I didn't. Okay, let's see. Vic Ferrari. Right. Okay, can we talk about the hit job going on with Caitlin Clark? All right, yeah, we talked about that.
You did talk about that.
We did talk about that.
You already talked about it.
Okay. Kevin Branham, he mentioned he won his wager last night on the Fever game, so he's happy. They lost, but he's happy. So,
do people still? Is it still people pay $1 gajillion for tickets to go?
Yeah, it was sold out. Both the games. What's today? Thursday. So Monday and Wednesday's games were both at Indianapolis. They sell out everywhere they go, and that's got to piss off like if you're in I don't know, Phoenix or whatever, and you're normally playing in a 3,000 seat arena. And Caitlin Clark's coming, so now you're playing in the 25,000 seat, Superdome or whatever the hell they have there. And more than half the people are screaming for the Fever.
Right. It's
gonna piss you off. You can't just block that out. You're gonna be angry at your fans. You're gonna be, there's a lot of racial stuff. There's a lot of political stuff involved. Well, you must be this or you must be that, and that's the only reason you're here. And but it is. I mean, it's funny, but I do get it. In your own hometown when you get 3,000 or 4,000 people, and all of a sudden there's 20,000, and the other 16,000 are rooting against you. So
okay, so let me ask you this. I'm very curious.
Mm-hmm.
People are just coming to see her, right? It's not like the people are super into the league,
right. Like I wouldn't watch if it wasn't this dynamic, if it wasn't this team, and I don't know what sucked me into watching, but I did. It's like, okay, I can't just watch an event, a sporting event. Like I can't just watch college basketball or college football or something unless I have a tie or there's drama or there's a what would you call it? A plot line, So with the Fever, there is, and I think that. But there's also they play good basketball. I mean, they're good. They're honestly. So you obviously don't watch.
No.
Okay. Well, you can't judge it then because you've not.
I'm not judging it. I asked you.
I'm saying people that do. It's like, well, okay. They make fun of their a lot of them are married to each other, things like that. So people take that as a big negative, and it's like, they're not on the court doing that. So,
but my question
cares?
is, the league proportionally has not expanded, right? It's not like, hey, every game is sold out now. It's, hey, Caitlin Clark is.
Well, no, it has. That rising tide has raised. I mean, they do. When I say 3,000, I mean they do have better attendance because they are on the radar now. All the entire league. They're expanding to 3 or 4 new teams coming up in the next few years. I think they're going to peak and they're going to be in trouble.
Well, that was my thought, is that
they should just ride the tide as it is.
Well, exactly.
But they're, like anything, like Greenwood, no, let's just build it till we bust the seams. We'll deal with everything else and the problems later.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's, whatever. It's entertainment. It's better than a
Hey,
NASCAR.
real quick, before you get to more chat,
Mhm.
Got to talk about Lauren Wilson. I'm a little behind here.
Let's talk about Lauren.
Lauren Wilson, realtor with Ad Properties. You guys know her, a huge fan of our show. She loves you guys. She's gotten to meet several of you, and she says you're all just a treat. I say, well, wait till you really get to know them. No, seriously. Lauren Wilson, Indiana lifer, military vet, and she is a bulldog. She's an advocate. That's exactly what you need when you buy or sell your home. Get the maximum value out of the home you're living in. Put yourself in a house that you're going to love for years to come at the best price. And to do that, you got to have someone who is invested in you. Lauren Wilson, realtor with Ad Properties. She'd love to get to work for you. Give her a call, 317-590-2290. 317-590-2290. Okay, back to the chat.
All right, MLM Warriors. Rob needs to Google Stuckey's and click the images. I think what he's saying is that you would probably recognize it. I mean, even as a little kid, I know they were around. You're not that damn young, so they had to have been around unless you didn't take any road trips. But I think if you Googled it and you looked at the building, you'd be like, I've seen that before.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And so, all right. Somebody had mentioned your dolls.
Yeah.
And somebody keeps calling them, and I don't have it here, Brutus Beefcake. That is not Brutus Beefcake. No. And the 06010 board was adamant. That's the Ultimate Warrior.
It is the Ultimate Warrior.
It is the Ultimate Warrior. So we wanted to clear that up for all those wondering.
I think I've told this before, but, I met the Ultimate Warrior.
Yes, you did. He would call you.
Talked to him multiple times.
Yeah.
He was a very interesting guy.
You're the fan.
Yeah, it was
like I got a fan. Hey,
and
Rob.
He would just go on for hours.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he would just talk about stuff. And he's from Indiana. He's from Crawfordsville. And so
where did he live? Where did he end up relocating to?
He was in New Mexico for a while. He was in Arizona for a while. He was a very eclectic guy.
No longer with us.
He did pass away.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, very interesting. And anyway, I've got to bring the other stuff in that I've got.
Yeah, it's time to switch some things
switch
up.
it up.
That was the idea. They weren't supposed to be permanent residents here.
I did have a Brutus Beefcake figure, though. I sold all of my childhood toys a couple years ago, before my daughter was born. I sold all of my childhood toys.
Mm-hmm.
G.I. Joe's.
Did you make any money on that?
Did okay.
Yeah.
G.I. Joe's, wrestling figures. I had a Brutus Beefcake. It was in the lot of toys that got sold.
Okay. Right.
The only two I kept were Hulk and Warrior.
Well, for yeah, definitely. Thanks for doing that for us.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. The 06010 board also added, Rob is changing his shirt a lot today. Yeah, 3 times, I think, so far. And then back to
That's right. Yes, that's correct.
Awesome new green.
Absolutely.
All right. Liberty, Freedom, Faith.
3 names.
Yes. Good for you, Rob Kendall, for listening to your viewers. I saw someone left a comment on X regarding the 21st Century Affordable Housing Act, and you talked about it.
Oh, so, you're welcome.
Yes.
It's what we do.
And it added again, just to make the point. The point is he's listening to his viewers regardless of what it's about.
That's right. We're the customer service business here. That's what we do. You are our clients.
Gettle's Guns. One of my favorite things about this chat is how 75% of it has nothing to do with what's being discussed on the show.
There you go.
Gettle's Guns also thanked Schrog Sandwich. I believe Mr. Sandwich was probably escorting her to his place of, he's a bartender, I believe, at, probably wrong on this, Legends?
Gettle's. Yeah, Gettle's is a bartender.
Yeah, is it Legends over
I don't know
on
which one it
Southport Road, something like that? I don't know. No, Wednesday night. For the last few weeks, the only reason I know this is Schrog has been saying, I'm going to come out and see you, and there's supposed to be some sort of Frank Sinatra singer out there or something. So that'd be all kind of cool. But and apparently she made it out.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
People are meeting in person. Our
Yeah.
virtual friends are
I do
becoming
believe so.
in-person friends.
Yep,
That's
go
great.
Strog. All right.
Yeah, wonderful.
Yep. Debbie Holcomb at Gettles. I like that too. Sometimes it's hard to listen to Rob and keep up with the chat. I rewatch the show often.
Perfect. That really helps us out. Watch 10 times.
Yeah. There was Gettles Guns. Hey, Shrog Sandwich. It was nice to meet you in person last night.
That's
So that is
great.
verified,
I
yes.
love that.
Yes, that is
And
awesome.
you have an opportunity to meet all of these fine people. Well, not all of them, but many of these fine people. Saturday night.
Flashbacks, not legends.
Flashbacks.
Yes.
Live show. Mad Hatter Comedy Club. It's going to be a great evening. Look, guys, it is really a tribute to you. My one-man live show is a tribute to you. There's going to bring some smoke. We're going to bring some smoke and some of the politicians. We're going to tell some stories, but really it centers around me saying thank you to you for all you've done to allow this to be possible. And would love to have you there. Would love to meet you in person, hang out, have a great evening, celebrate yourself.
Yeah, the storms are supposed to be tomorrow, so maybe just cloudy on Saturday so we can get that tailgating going.
And then there'll be a meet and greet afterwards. It's going to be a great evening together. Celebrate you guys. If you're a fan of the show, if you like what we do, great way to support the show. Coming out with us. Get your tickets. If you haven't gotten them yet, robkendallshow.com.
Right. And if you got questions, otherwise I'll have nothing to do but just be introduced and be thank you guys so long. So if you got questions, send them to, send them to email them or what. You can go to producer Jason on Facebook. Producer Jason, look me up. You'll see the little logo is basically the show logo, Rob Kendall Show logo there. And you can send me a message there if you have questions.
Perfect.
Because we'd like to be able to have some questions to get the chat going. And then you guys could yell some things out as well. Maybe we'll have some cards there you can fill out. But it would be good, especially for you that know you're going. And it would be very helpful if you threw us a couple questions so we could kind of be able to get that chat started there during the live show.
Producer Jason on Facebook.
Yes, Producer Jason on Facebook, yes. Let's see. Talking about, John M. 9848, new one in the chat.
Welcome.
I might be done voting. I will never get the Milton Friedman utopia I desire.
Yeah.
A lot of people probably have no idea who that is, so you'd probably have to.
Famed economist.
Yep, you have to Google that.
Conservative.
Yep. Jay, Indiana. If school board had to put a party, they would all just run as Republicans. What they do in the rest of this, that's what they do in the rest of the state elections, ... Braun.
There you go. I see what you did there.
Yep. Kevin Branham. If you don't vote, you can't complain about the results. I'm not too sure about that, but yeah, that's,
well,
that's a very valid point.
You can complain. You're just limiting your influence over the thing you're complaining about.
Right. C. Mills. No, wait a minute. I'm sorry. Kevin Branham. Okay. C. Mills. I wouldn't donate to a politician out of the goodness of my heart. I only donate to the Rob Kendall Show out of the goodness of my heart.
Bam.
Kevin Branham. I agree with you on that, C. Mills. Both C. Mills and Kevin Branham, very, very good friends of the show. We appreciate all you guys do for us. And then C. Mills, he was pretty hot in the chat today. He says, call me Butter because I'm on a roll.
Oh, yeah, there you go. There you go.
Right on. All right. Well, I know Rob has a couple things he needs to do to get out today, so we'll go ahead and cut that short. Hopefully I didn't skunk anybody. Hopefully everybody that was in the chat that wanted to be read aloud was read aloud. I try to go through and make sure we get everybody's name, and there doesn't always happen. Let's see, did I forget anybody? Let's kind of look here, and there we go. We got Ludi, we got Rock Laws, we got Branham. If I start naming people, then I'm going to get in trouble.
Yeah, you're going to get in trouble.
Rusted Bolt Garage. Hey, there's one. Rusted Bolt Garage. Great show today, guys. Anybody in Western Hendricks County? I'd love to meet like-minded people. Yeah,
at the live show on Saturday. That's where you meet the live people.
There we go. Okay, White Rabbit, if they opened up a Swifty, I would go there today.
Oh, I do remember the Swifty.
Yeah. Wino Gina. Am I saying that right?
I don't know.
Okay.
You're the one looking at the name.
Wineaux. Those EAU.
Wino?
Ooh, could be. Those EAUs always throw me. Yeah. I think we still have a Stuckey's in my hometown. What hometown is that? Oh, okay. You're not necessarily in the hometown. So just like I said, covering my bases here. Did we drain the swamp in today? Jason, your public school math is failing you. 100 times 100 is 10,000.
That's what I thought. I don't want to correct you.
Oh, okay. Well, if they gave 1,000 tickets out, It'd be $100,000. All right. Well, if you haven't been listening, I am getting old.
Yes.
And apparently my mind is going away.
He's creating events that didn't happen. He's morphing things together.
It's a fun place in my head.
All right, I got to tell everybody about Seal Now.
Okay, well, I'll go ahead and get out of here and let you do that. So long, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow. Get those questions in. Producer Jason, find me on Facebook. Like it, share it, subscribe to it.
There you go.
There we go. All right, so long, everybody.
Hey, is your driveway showing signs of wear, freeze-thaw cycles, road salts, environmental buildup like molten dirt can all cause unsightly damage and can end up in expensive repair? That's where Seal Now comes in. Seal Now are the clean, seal, and stain professionals that can help protect your outdoor surfaces, and man, do these guys do incredible work that goes far beyond just the basics. Decorative concrete patios, including stamped concrete, exposed aggregate concrete sealing, concrete staining to add color, along with protection and more. But they also do a lot more than just concrete. They do decks, they do fences, they do pergolas, any exterior concrete or wood outdoor structure that needs cleaned or maintained. Seal Now are your guys. Call today, 317-548-2002, or visit sealnow.com, 317-548-2002, or visit sealnow.com. Not only will you get a free estimate, but mention you heard about Seal Now on the Rob Kendall Show and receive 20% off any long-term sealing project. 20% off any long-term sealing project just by mentioning you heard about them on the Rob Kendall Show. All right, well, we're getting ready to put together Statehouse happenings today. That'll be available tomorrow morning. So we always think of that as an extension of the Rob Kendall Show, like 30 more minutes. We usually have that available at 6 a.m. The morning of the drop. So you guys can look forward to that tomorrow if you want a little primer for tomorrow's show. So look for that. It's, of course, on YouTube and then Apple, Spotify, made available on all of the places as well. Man, you guys are just the best. If you haven't done so yet, before you get out of here, hit that little thumbs up button. Like the show before you leave. That really helps us out. Share it out to the masses. Let us know. Let people know that we are here. Facebook, Twitter, all the places. That is how we grow. We grow thanks to you. And last but certainly not least, subscribe to the channel. Get those tickets to the live show. We'd love to see you on Saturday. You guys have a great rest of your day. We're going to get this studio moved around and ready to go for Statehouse Happenings, which is going to be recorded here just a little bit. Until then, for producer Jason, I'm Rob Kendall. You've been watching Statehouse Happenings. Rob Kendall. Tomorrow morning, you'll be watching Statehouse Happenings. You've been watching Rob Kendall Show.